the love of training, even when it's beating you the down. I'm not talking physically, but mentally. Yep. You know, when you're not making progress. And one of my friends said, you know, the longer I don't make progress, the bigger the jump I know is going to be in the future.
You know, half the time I don't want to, but I still do.
You do it, yeah.
Like even when post-surgery, I'll walk in here and I'll grab, I call it bar porn. I'll just grab the bar to figure out, you know?
And unfortunately, everyone, you know, doesn't do any of the process and just goes to the final thing, which I couldn't even imagine. Like, people always get hurt. They can't figure out why they don't have the background.
Today we got Jim Wendler, Matt Rhodes, and Vincent Dizenzo. You can join in the conversation because we've already been bullshitting for 15 minutes. Yeah. So here we go. So
all the best stuff happens. Sorry.
Yes.
We're done.
So what's up?
We're done.
Pull your pants up, Vincent.
Yeah.
I was just thinking.
As long as I can pull my shirt up.
We were in North Carolina, I think, or Virginia. And that's when it must have been Ken put up the picture of the sales lady on the EFS page. And it was a huge fucking modern building, like all glass and stairs. Like, we're here to answer your questions. And I remember I'm like, Dave, where the fuck have I been working?
And we're working
why am I in the fucking shithole?
Yeah. That's funny. That was when
people asked us, who is that lady? I'm like, I don't know.
Never seen.
Oh, I know I thought you were talking about. Remember, he also put something up when we were trying to hire the first customer service person.
Okay.
Right. And that's when Matt Bash, right?
Yeah.
He applies and he comes and he thinks it's this big building with these grand staircases and shit. And we're in this dirty ass dump downtown.
Is this the original one?
Oh,
yeah. The one on Main Street.
Yeah. He had to be thinking, what the hell? But he took the job. So
yep.
It worked out pretty good. So that's.
Do you know they got a big hangout area upstairs with like a big TV and a pool table now?
Do you really? You have an upstairs?
It's dope. Yeah.
Where is it from here?
Over there. Probably the offices.
Okay.
Do the cues look like barbells? Because that would have been a smart. That would have been a good idea. You're thinking now you should have made.
I don't know because we put the top on the thing.
Should have made barbells.
It's always been there. We just never put anything up top of it because we never had a reason for it. So it was built with that intent, and we didn't want to spend the money.
Yeah, it's pretty. No, it's pretty cool though. Like
I gotta see that.
Rhonda, the awesome Rhonda, brought me up there.
Yes, but the proof is the. As soon as it was all done and the desks were up there, it's like, okay, you guys can go upstairs. And they all go. So now it shows you how popular Traci and I are, right? There's nobody down here.
That's awesome.
Now.
Everybody wants to hang out with the boss.
Yeah. So when we bring interns back in, they get to deal with us. So we got these. I probably should explain the nacho thing, right? So we're texting yesterday. When the fuck was that?
2 days ago, yeah.
I'm just as bad as Jim.
Is that good for sound?
So I sent a text out, already knowing Jim's not going to reply. If he does, it's going to be one.
I made one reply.
You know, like, we have to do something different, man. So we need some food, and I know that you're like the clean eater.
I'm not a clean eater.
And I figured that nachos is like a safe bet.
He's weighed his nachos out already. It's
like
Freddie Mercury saying I'm not gay.
Yeah.
I'm dying to look like Rhodes, believe me.
Yeah, and it's like it's breakfast.
Like one step above Murph on the physique scale.
Oh my god.
Yep. Go ahead. Go there, Rhodes.
There you go.
Powering through it.
Yeah.
Two and a half minutes, and then Murph gets mentioned.
Yeah.
That's all it took. All right.
He's so happy right now.
Yep. Send him the text.
Yeah.
I'm on the scale.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Did you ever hear the Danny DeVito acting story? When Danny DeVito was first in acting class, he was doing a scene, and the scene was over, and the teacher said, you are by far the worst actor I've ever seen. And he goes, yes, I'm an actor.
There you go.
I'm an actor. There you go.
So Rhodes texts back, everybody likes nachos, right? Yeah. And you text something about 10 to 0.
Well, I said for food, like, I don't know where I picked it up. I wish I originated, but if food is not a 10, it's a 0. So I expected like I didn't know you were going to have tortilla chips. Like, I thought it was going to be like, appetizer nachos with 10 2-hour-old cheese sitting on the table. And I'm like, when you have like to learn the trains and the food's been sitting around for 5 hours. And all the fat guys, myself included, were still eating it. Like, I'm like, I don't do that anymore.
It's food.
Yeah.
It's still room temperature.
Yeah. There's flies on it, there's larvae, and you're like, oh, this is fine. Just dust it off.
So then I figured I got dip, right? So I'm like, fuck it, I'm going to get all the dips.
That's good.
So in Kroger's, I got all the dips. So a while back, I made this video this YouTube video, and I'm driving through McDonald's, and I'm just curious as to if I asked them for a gallon of milk, would they know how many bottles to give me, right? Truth be told, I calculated this out of my phone first because I had to figure out.
They have boxes there.
They're not a box.
You know what I'm
it's
talking
like
about,
a
the old-
plastic container. 8 ounces.
Yeah, you're talking about like the school boxes, like
Yeah,
the
you
little,
remember that?
Yeah.
It never
All too
opened,
well,
right?
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah,
eight.
the mouth is always, you have to go to the other side and you pour it all over your face.
Oh, the chocolate ones that would.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about. No, they don't have those. That would have been even better though.
Right, you fold it
Kids,
back.
kids can't open those nowadays.
Yeah.
Too much work.
It's like
So
advanced.
I order a gallon of milk and there's like this pause. I'm like, gosh, you don't know. It's going to be 16.
Yeah.
Anyhow, when it was all over, it was like $28. or something
Holy
like that.
shit!
So I have in this video, like the next time I did a podcast, I'm like, dude, you guys got to send these super chats in because they can ask questions. Then they can bump it up with a super chat or like a tip. Like, you guys got to help me pay for the milk fund. Right,
Yeah.
so I got a freaking nacho fund now, right? See, it's a play on words too because it's not your fund.
Yeah.
So I got the receipt too. I spent like fucking $80 on dips.
You'll make it up in your
And then
with your
you want-
OnlyFans account.
Exactly, and then you wanted the donut, so we got.
I just found out what OnlyFans is.
Did you
I
really?
saw someone with a bumper on the
I
back
have
of
no
their.
idea what it is.
They
How
have a
many members
sticker
you
on
got?
their.
Liar.
On their, do you really?
I know how many members do you have?
Oh. I mean, the problem is they're all dudes.
Exactly. Is that a problem?
Oh my god! Did you ever get those emails?
Frequently,
Or-
still
yeah.
more now.
Yeah. Well, I got them more when I was bigger because of the Bears.
Yeah. You ever remember the amount of guys at Spud Station in when we did a seminar at Murph's, and Murph had like
Here we go with Murph.
Spud had like there was a group of like bikers.
Yeah,
yeah,
I remember
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, I
remember
remember that.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was awesome. Like, all right.
No, that was weird. That wasn't awesome. That
Well,
was like
for
weird.
us it was because he had that group.
God, if only there was phones back then.
Oh yeah,
I'm so glad there wasn't.
That's crazy.
It would have been so bad.
But through this text, you also said that a Fit Crunch
Yes.
was a 10.
It is a 10. It's good. Listen, try it.
So we're
That
going to
is a
compare.
10.
We're going to compare the
Bull-
Fit Crunch.
There's no comparison. I never compare it to a Snickers ever.
I got that. I thought that.
You
I
guys
thought
can
that.
insinuate
Did you
all you
think-
want.
hey,
I
did
said
you
it's
think that?
good. Tell me it's bad. That's fine. I might be institutionalized.
Tell me it's bad. You're such a slut.
Well, just look.
I could be institutionalized. Well, no, because this is unfair because this is two. There's
Yeah,
two
but-
in this pack.
but does-
Remember, Frey
but
had
does-
a freak out
does-
at Wendler's place. What king size is now 2 pieces? That's bull.
Yeah, remember it used to
Yeah.
be one. Yeah.
He thought it was broken. He's like, these coming 2 now? That's baloney.
It is kind of bullshit.
So yeah,
It used to be this big one. Now it's just-
I'll tape 2 of these bags together, then we'll compare.
All right, so we got to try this
Yeah.
thing, right?
Hang on.
Oh my god. And this is just like a Snickers, right?
You guys keep saying that if you want.
It's a 10.
Do I
That's
need
what
like
he said.
a
It's
gallon
a
of
10.
water to get this down?
No.
It's not terrible, but
It's got a robust flavor. Just a hint of the old country.
For fat dudes. Tell me fat dudes
Like a
wouldn't
coy
enjoy this.
Dutch boy applying paint to his rectum.
Dave's still thinking about it.
I'm thinking about it. I'm waiting for the aftertaste because the aftertaste.
There really
is
isn't a bad one.
No, it's not bad.
Wait.
It's good.
Usually the aftertaste. The aftertaste isn't bad. I'm not going to eat the rest of it. I'll
That's
tell you that
fine.
much. But
Well,
now I got to compare
if
it
you
to the
didn't-
real deal, right? Rhodes is just waiting for the Snickers.
I haven't had one of these in like 3 or 4 days.
I haven't had one of these in like 3 or 4 years. All right. Now, but Jim's particular about what he eats now. It was funny hearing him in the morning. I only have nuts and twigs for breakfast, and so I used to get my balls busted unconscionably
It
by
was
these
pubes.
guys.
It was
Sni-
pubes.
The Snickers
Vincent.
wins.
That's food.
Oh, I never.
That's food.
Rhodes,
That's food.
bad.
Yeah.
Not bad. But,
Okay, that's all.
But no, yeah. I mean, it's
But is anyone really
Right.
fooling themselves that this is healthy?
like the meat.
No,
at-
for me,
at
it's, I don't
schools.
eat healthy. I watch my calories. There's a big difference.
He
I
gave
eat
it
like a child.
Hey, look,
But does it fit your macros? That's what I need
That's
to know.
what I do. Yeah,
here's the deal, though. If this is a 10,
This is a 20.
yeah, that's a 20. That's
Well,
632.
So now the scales, like the RPE scales, right?
Yeah.
And nobody can
So
really
it's all
gauge them.
subjective?
Yeah, it's all subjective. Like, so this is like failure, and then this is like a horse rat.
Yeah. with a really strong dude spotting you.
The
Mostly
Snickers is
me.
better.
Mostly me.
Mostly. I love doing that to kids.
Or is this just kind of like cardio?
It's like, yeah, but if that would mean I never eat pizza anywhere but in New Haven. If you only were gonna eat the best of everything, like
You
I don't
said
know.
everything's a 10 or a 0, though.
That's what
To
you
me,
said.
this is a 10.
Right, yeah, I get that.
So then what's the Snickers?
A 10.
Oh, okay.
So they're
I like
saying-
them both a lot. Yeah, I like them both a lot.
I get where he's coming from now. It's not really a 10.
So I'm not.
But he's decided.
Yeah, for me,
He's
it's a 10.
decided that
On
it's-
my scale, it's
Yeah,
a 10.
it's good enough.
Listen,
Yeah, I get it. I totally get it. I swear to God.
someone married Dave, so
Somebody-
everybody's scale is different.
Oh my god! I keep equating
He's
this
so
to-
mad
Either
right
they-
now. He's so mad. It's
Either
awesome.
that or she. Either that
It's
or like,
awesome.
Who thinks they married a 0?
Juliet.
Nobody's gonna
Dude,
admit
she is the
that.
most patient woman
like-
I've ever met in my life.
Well, if there's anyone that's a
So
0
Dave-
at the table,
Dave-
it's me because I'm
Dave-
not married.
Dave is my 10
I am
to this
0.
Fit crunch. Dave is my
I
10
understand.
to this Fit crunch.
I understand.
Yeah. Okay.
It's listen.
So there's
It's
that.
better than most protein bars.
I'm going to eat a 72 here.
Dave,
I haven't had a protein bar for a
Dave,
long time.
do you
so-
remember?
Muscle sandwiches.
You have muscle. Well, no, I told the muscle sandwich story because we never sold a fucking single muscle sandwich. We're like, God, these things are awesome. Where'd you get them? From Elite. They're out of stock. Well, I don't know what to fucking say.
They were like 500
you're off there.
calories.
Oh, they were so good.
All fat.
So, Dave, I went into this was probably years ago.
I'm finishing.
I went to go. I don't know. Juliet went to go get some protein, something at Vitamin Shop in Hilliard, and I asked the lady there, definitely totally into fitness, and I'm like, "You guys got muscle sandwiches?" Ugh, we would never carry anything, and I was like, "Listen, fatty, you don't get to decide what I fucking eat or judge anything. You know, she has no penis, but she turtled when she bent over." You know what I'm saying? That's how. Oh my God!
What does that even mean?
You guys know what I'm talking about when you're sitting on the can when you're fat and
Mm-hmm.
your Johnson turtles a little bit.
Just something disappears.
The point being is
He just got it.
Yeah, the point is she
He was like,
had the
wait,
audacity.
I was just in the bathroom. And now I know what he's talking
Now
about.
I know what happens.
That's what it's called.
That's where it goes.
Here comes the training advice.
You always gotta wipe off the bottom of your stomach, you know.
You guys know what I'm talking about. You guys pee sitting down too, right? I love they try to pass it off. It's healthier for a male. I'm like, no, how?
Why?
I swear to God, I've heard that several times, and I was like, well,
Oh my
I think I'm going to continue being unhealthy.
Oh shit. Yeah. All right. So I don't know what to say anymore.
Well, that's what we
I
figured.
think I just turtled.
He's just turtle. He's in perpetual turtle. You know when you have to lose weight when you're in perpetual turtle.
You just all you are is balls and foreskin.
Oh man, I need to put more weight on so I can turtle better. I lost too much weight. My turtle's gone.
It's not like a max effort exercise.
Oh shit.
This has devolved quickly.
Oh my god, the turtle thing is great. That just gives people a reason to bulk up. That's when you know you're truly where you're supposed to be.
People don't bulk anymore.
Yeah, no one's got any heart anymore. As far as getting big.
Well, they want a nice and large heart. That's what we wanted.
Yeah.
I achieved it.
Yeah. It's not that hard. Just
No.
eat whatever you want and train heavy and
I know many people that have blown
don't go to the
blown
doctor.
Their hearts up.
Yeah. Don't go to the doctor so you don't know what's wrong with you.
I hope the camera caught Rhodes, went back and took another bite.
What the hell, dude?
It's like eating a piece of pie or something.
No,
I
know
eat the
why.
back so I can eat the good part at the end.
That's fine.
No, I
Right?
think this is going back to.
I remember Rhodes' girlfriend saying something like that.
You remember Rhodes had a
she
girlfriend?
ate his back first and then came around and blew some
not touching that.
trombone.
Or he knows if
Not
he doesn't
touching it.
finish it, I'm going to give him shit because of the nuggets he didn't eat 15 years ago.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Sweating. Ridiculous.
You set me up for that.
People, well, first of all, I should give a little backstory so people have an actual clue. I don't know how, we might have only told this story like 50 times.
Do you remember? Remember Cosgrove?
So,
Yeah.
going after Ferrugia,
Oh, it's tough.
that was fantastic.
And you don't
Jay
want.
was
Did I
mad.
ever tell you the check thing we did with Ferrugia? Me and Cosgrove. Cosgrove's like, hey, let's tell Ferrugia we both got. I don't know how much we got, maybe $2,000 or something. Like, We said,
Yes.
hey, isn't it awesome we got paid $3,500? You're like, isn't this is a good deal? And he lost his shit. He's like, what? You guys serious? Why did I get less? I'm like, I don't know. You might want to talk to Murph about that one.
So
And he was beside him. We let him hang for like the entire dinner.
go back to this. There was a seminar that was I wasn't part
That
of
was the
team.
same dinner?
Yeah. That was right before dinner. It was way before dinner started.
Yeah, I didn't attend.
And yeah,
That's when you showed
came
up
to
and they
hang
thought
out.
he was going to die.
Yeah, that's when I walked through the door and I was so rotund that the whole seminar stopped and you made fun of me. It was beautiful. I look back, I'm like, that's beautiful. That was fantastic. I was 330 pounds. It's fantastic. You know when you're around that crew and everybody's like, boy, he let himself go. You know you've achieved something. I had my ringer tee on.
It's like when
4X.
when Lemmy
I
got
thought it
kicked
was-
out of Hawkwind for drug use, the
Yeah.
massive drug ban. Like, dude, I'm serious. You got an issue.
We got to kick you out. Like Dave Mustaine.
Yeah.
Really? You got kicked out?
Yeah, they flew out to New York or drove out, booted him out of the band, right when they were going to record Kill 'Em All.
Wow.
And said, dude, you got to go. Would just rather not have you. That's how bad Mustaine's drug problem was.
Yeah. So that's how
First
bad
album,
my
get their first
eating problem was.
Yeah.
But there was a seminar and I came to hang out with Rhodes.
It was a seminar in Boston area.
I don't think those are eating problems for us, though. That was an eating purpose.
Yeah.
Not a problem.
But I enjoyed
It
it.
depends on how you paint it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was, but we went to do they were doing a seminar. I came to hang out with Rhodes, and a bunch of good presenters. But we all went out afterwards, which was always the most
Uno's,
fun.
right?
Yeah, we ended up at Uno's, and we tormented Rhodes because Rhodes was trying to get bigger, and he was getting up there.
He's trying.
But Rhodes. So
I was still
love-
early in my journey. I didn't understand the commitment.
So there's a difference
You know?
between Wendler and Rhodes, and I think Dave and I,
He's
they don't.
5'10". I'm
No,
6'4".
you guys don't love to eat.
You're right.
Like you eat. Like I'm not saying you don't enjoy food, but
I could.
I love. It's my favorite. Like my wife and I. Matt was making fun of us. At breakfast, we're thinking about lunch and dinner. Like we have a menu for the week. We cook. And I just love to eat. I'm Italian. Everything was around food. So for me to go to a heavyweight, I'm like, this is fantastic. It was punishment for Rhodes. Like legitimately making fun of him for not finishing his food. Beads of sweat. And I didn't even
No, here's what.
who were they ordered for? They weren't even for you.
It was him. My
He
good
pushed the plate in
friend.
front of you. Your good friend.
We had gotten, whatever, the appetizer, the meal, and I struggled halfway through the meal. I'm pretty sure I finished it. And Jim saw the whole thing because he was sitting right next to me. He's like, I'm going to get an order of wings. It was like 12 wings.
Boneless.
Jim took one, took a bite, and goes, I can't eat these. The whole purpose was to make me eat them. I'm like, you motherfucker. And there were definitely tears on the inside.
On the outside, so you were
That may have happened too.
That was sweat.
That was sweat and
and it was
shame.
I
And
mean, the aim took place on everybody at one point or the other.
Oh, of course.
Cosgrove was getting it, and then everybody just turned on Rhodes.
Oh, it's-
because once you can direct your,
It's a wing, for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
You can't eat the final wing.
there weren't even,
I'm
11
full.
of
there
them.
weren't even bones
No,
in
I'm
it.
done.
there were 11 of them.
He's like 6'11", 220, and like, come on, dude, finish some wings. You were so mad.
What's
remember?
that? Do we have a question?
Do you remember when Bolton pulled the first 1,000? We were there. It was in New York, right? It was like in the Catskills or something. And there was a guy there. I don't remember his name, but I know who he is. I'm not going to mention him because he's since passed. But he ordered a giant thing of wings, and he would slather these things in ranch and put them in the mouth and take it out, and they were completely clean. Every
impressive.
fucking one.
Yeah.
And,
I have no idea how he did that.
It was
remember that.
it was the most amazing thing, and it was so fucking gross.
But it was amazing because we all stopped, and it was
Yeah.
like, you're like, you don't know what to think because it's bare. Yeah. Like it's
Yeah, and when
you're sucking and biting,
Yeah.
something's going on there that I don't know.
There's some kind of technique that I'm unfamiliar with.
Dave's porn.
Exactly my porn logo.
Vivid video.
Yeah. Going back to the bulking turtle thing, but I remember.
Now I get
That's
it.
when
Yeah,
you know
now
you.
I
That's
get
knowing
it.
you've know
I
you've
get
made
it now. I'm using it in a sentence.
Yes.
We were. What I remember the most about that stupid, right? Because Jim and I, the restaurant was right by the hotel.
Yeah.
So we're walking back to the hotel, and I'm pulling. you know you're fat, right? You can't use your pockets very well, and I'm trying to
can't reach all of them.
Well, you can't reach them. It's a mess. And it was maybe a $5 or $10. Something blew out of my pocket, and it's like blowing across the parking lot. And we're both just looking at it.
What
right?
denomination
Neither
is
one
that?
of us have any intent on getting this. Not even like to lunge forward with your foot. So then we start asking
the fake
how
effort.
much. Like if that was $20, would we go after it?
Yeah.
Nah. We got up to like 100. It's like, no, fuck it, you know, we're not doing it. So the value of the turtle, right?
Yeah.
Goes back to not giving a shit. And $100 is a lot of money, right?
Yep.
Especially to my
Especially
broke
back
ass.
then, too. You
I'm
guys
not
had
broke
no-
ass. I mean, everybody thinks I was a freaking millionaire. I'm broke ass. It's like, oh shit, how am I going to pay for the dinner I just paid for?
Do you remember we were in Tucson? This was early on. I was still living in Kentucky, and fucking taxes rolled around. And you're like, holy fuck.
Oh yeah, that almost buried me.
Yeah. It was, and I'm not. I mean, I'm
You
not,
didn't take those into consideration?
No, we grew.
No, it was
Okay.
it was the inventory.
Yes, inventory gets you too.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
And I didn't realize there's a lot of moving part obviously
Yeah.
with our tax code, but I'll never forget that. I was like, holy shit, dude, really? And
I like fined 40 grand.
yeah,
You know, the other thing is you pay quarterly taxes too, and this is before we had accountants and stuff helping us out. So you're paying estimates,
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
based upon years prior, and we had a couple good quarters in that year that was going through there, and those estimates weren't paid, so you owe, right? So
Right.
now that I'm older, a little bit smarter, it's better to owe, right? Because then you have your money all
Yeah.
year long instead of the government using your money for all the stupid shit they use it for. But that was there's been a lot of things like that. I'm
But
sure
I-
you've gone through the same shit,
Yeah.
you know, with your stuff.
holy shit. We got a kick-ass accountant now. God, does that help? And it's fucking
Ben
inexpensive.
Affleck?
Yeah. Racist.
Well, most people they don't even think about it. They're like, I'll figure it out.
Yeah,
it's
it's
like,
not
no, man, it's worth.
Well, it's one of the things I talked to someone the other day about opening a gym. He was talking about. I'm like, listen, man, you have to like business more than you like training.
That's any
And
business. though,
I
really.
learned that here because,
Yeah.
God, how many times have we outfitted gyms that went under in less than a year?
90%.
It's tough. Yeah, it's so. I don't know. I don't know if you know. There's a haircut place for kids right across from
Yeah.
our old place, and so I go there, twice a month with James, and I just fucking love looking at our old place, and it brings back so many fucking memories, Dave. You have no idea.
It's crazy
love
when
it.
I drive by there.
Yeah, and I can't believe,
It's such a dump.
like, I mean, look at this shithole. I mean, this is, I'm just not, it's fucking amazing.
get it.
And that
it's-
there's actually a bathroom in the building. Like, you
that-
where
There's
you-
doors on the stalls.
Where you train, you don't have to go
Yeah.
to another
Yeah.
building.
But
to
I mean,
use the
David,
bathroom.
it is amazing what you've built, buddy.
Thank
I
you.
mean, and
Thank you.
I'm not going to say anything you haven't said. Like, the road, not just to opening EFS is fucking amazing because, you had dyslexia, and I'm sure you got shit on.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And it just, the more that you get older and you realize, like, what you built, it's fucking crazy. And
It's just it's part of business. You're doing it too, right? It's part of business. You're dealing with the bullshit all the time.
Yeah.
And it's not it's great. Like
You're-
I always say, the grass is always greener, right?
yeah.
Because we can be like, man, it'd be fucking awesome just to be Rhodes.
Yeah.
And just not have to deal with all this
That's
bullshit.
true.
And it would be,
Yeah.
But then you're like,
But
then you
I've got
talk
my
to him,
version of it,
right?
yeah,
Then you
right,
talk to him, he's
right.
like, the fucking administrators
Yeah.
are a pain in the ass.
There's
and
bullshit anywhere you go.
It's wherever you
Yeah.
go. By the way, Sam, just to make sure that you're aware, because I haven't told you this, those stones that are out back,
You got to move
with
those.
your strongman
Oh,
stuff,
don't ever pick them
don't
up.
ever touch those.
They've been,
Ever.
dude, they were at the Maple Street, and we all pissed on them.
Yeah, always.
Yes,
Gave you
because we
something
didn't
to
have
aim on.
strong man.
We didn't have a bathroom in the gym.
Don't tell Andy. I wonder how many times Andy
no,
Deck
no.
has had them on his chest.
Yeah, oh my God! All the little holes that are in there, those are pee holes, man. That's just,
Flavor.
yeah,
It's the ammonia cutting through.
yeah. And keep in mind, we all had turtles going on, right? So it was spraying
Everywhere.
It was hitting the whole right.
I don't know. I couldn't see
the
where it was
garden
going.
hose on.
It's ricocheting off your stomach.
Just hoping for the best.
My toes aren't wet yet.
Going somewhere. Looks like
it's
when you
good.
spray a
Oh,
squirt
it's my-
bottle and
it's
it's
my
open,
shorts.
spreads
Yeah.
everywhere.
Unbelievable.
But we were talking about you guys, like, because if anytime, like a few times I've coached and done some online stuff, within like 2 months I gave it up because I was like, I could not possibly monetize this and still train. Like to love to train, like people take the love out of training when
Yep.
when the money, like everybody out there who honestly like who makes a living doing this and who's actually in good shape and likes to train, that's red roasted pepper. That's a good one.
what the hell is hummus?
No, hummus.
It's not food.
That was
It's
on-
seriously,
Vincent
what is
food.
it?
It's Vincent food.
Yeah, like what
hummus
is it?
It's like
ground up
chickpeas.
chickpeas.
Right? What are those?
They can't
What
just
are
call it chickpeas.
Well,
Like that's
well,
not. Yeah,
they
what
could
is a
call it
chickpea?
smashed chickpeas, I guess, but that's got red roast
So
dependent.
That's
it-
not.
I
That's good
think-
stuff.
So
It
it's
is
like
good.
chicken
it?
turtles
chicken turtles.
because the chicken
know.
peas and it's a chickpea, right?
It's chickpea.
I
It's a
think-
bean. Beans are good for you.
So the hummus is good.
Yeah, it's actually
This
good.
is kind of scary. This is like
No,
It's
it's a
red
red-
roasted pepper. That's a good one.
you
Yeah,
try
it's
this
probably a
one.
little
I did
spicy.
try that one.
Yeah, it's not bad.
It's not spicy. I'm not a big spicy guy.
It's like a breakfast dip.
It's good. Just go ahead.
a breakfast dip.
Go ahead, try it.
Anything's a breakfast dip.
Anything on a tortilla is kind of, you know. That's. What do you think?
What about a fit crunch? Or
Fit crunch on a tortilla? I'll
Why
take
don't
it.
you do this? Why don't you dip a donut
I'm
in the salsa?
No, that's a little.
That's no longer a 10.
That's too much different flavors colliding.
It halves it.
too-
It's a
Yeah,
5.
that makes
Too
it
many
5.
different tens.
Too many different tents. Listen, I'm eating my donut. What more do you want from me? Again, I got Jim.
It's so great. He's getting
All right.
soy.
I gotta have a piece of bacon and 7 nuts for breakfast. I feel really good when I do that. My ball's broken for the last decade about like, oh well, I don't want to. I'm sitting at the table at Bob Evans, like, all right, I'll have the oatmeal and the toast with no butter, and I'm just raping.
Is there a way we could make the toast less tasty? Don't toast
Oh
it.
no, because
Okay.
plain nuts and bacon for breakfast is that's a 20.
It's fucking good.
Yeah,
I love
that's
it.
pretty
So you
good.
see, and that's what you convince yourself of.
I just
No,
don't-
bacon
Yeah.
tastes good.
I also don't.
But
need,
there are people
I
out-
don't need to. I don't know. I just don't care.
Wow,
Yeah.
that one's hot. What's that?
Which one?
That one.
That's salsa.
I'm a wimp when it comes to that
Yeah,
shit.
I'm not
spicy.
That one's hot.
Yeah, but we all have. Everybody's got a different path, man. That's what's cool, and that's the one thing.
What is that?
Oh, cheese sauce with
Cheese
jalapenos. Cheese sauce and
Jalapenos.
jalapenos.
I love how it says cheese sauce. There's probably an asterisk, not real cheese.
Yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
it's what's that spray shit?
It's like milk,
Yeah, cheese
milk
whiz.
drink.
Cheese whiz.
Yep.
Yeah.
The cool thing is like everybody finds everything works if you do it kind of right. Like so much stuff works.
Compliance is the science.
Yeah, hey, you know people need help.
In-
But there's not just one way to get to like training. Sorry, you either have to do conjugate or you got to do
well, it has to be progressive.
right.
Yes, it needs to be progressive because compliance is consistency and compliance
Yeah.
are all important, right? But if
You got to be doing something fairly well.
yeah, I mean, we
Yeah.
all know those guys that come to the gym at the same day, the same time, been doing it for 10 years. They look exactly the
Murph.
same. They're taking tons of trends.
I love you.
And nothing ever changes.
He doesn't look any better.
Murph, he
looks-
actually lost weight. He's actually kind of.
I'm just busting Murph.
No, but for real, he lost weight. He doesn't look terrible.
that's good.
That's about the
There's
best.
no way he does not look terrible.
He doesn't look
Is that
terrible.
right?
He doesn't.
I don't even know where I am with the
Like, why
knots
did
anymore.
I just say that, man? Is that right?
He does not look terrible.
It does not.
Is TPS still open?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think they got really hammered with all the COVID restrictions.
I
for
can't
a while.
imagine.
Massachusetts. What
But
a
he
shithole.
just posted a big thing about like them being open, like no masks, nobody has to wear a mask if we don't want to. So he's back in business. Murph, you've always been good to us.
Yeah, we'll bust his balls.
Yeah, we've been terrible to you.
You
You've always
supplied
been
many
good
a
to us.
bars to these two men.
I don't think
Yeah.
we've ever. This is fucked up. We've never sat down that I can remember and not. It comes up every time.
Because
even
I-
if we're not here, just like the Cracker Barrel last time, fucking Murph. How's he keep invading our conversation?
Because that was his plan. He infiltrated very early
How?
on.
He's like herpes. Occasionally,
It's a gift that keeps on giving.
always there, comes back every so often. You never know. We got an outbreak. You got to put some lotion on
We
it.
got an outbreak of Murph every time we get together. Caught a case of the Murph.
Oh my god, that's terrible.
Because here's the thing too, and he's loving this. He's like,
Yeah. It's free
it's no
public-
good for my business, but I'm loving it.
Oh, it's great for his business.
no, everybody, if you're there, go to his gym.
He has a great gym.
Oh,
Yes, it's
it's
a great
He-
gym.
That is true.
Did
yeah.
where are they
he
in the
moved
same
again.
spot?
No. I think this is his third place. I was to the newest one.
Do you remember his first place?
He's at his
had no heat.
Fourth place.
I probably his fourth place. Yeah.
And he may be on to his fifth.
Which one was the first one?
No, you've been there because I,
know
did
I
seminars
was.
with you.
Yeah, I know.
Add like to jujitsu in the front
oh, okay,
room.
yeah. That had
yeah.
no heat.
No, we did. I've done 2 seminars there, and
You slept at another.
That's where we slept together.
well, the first night, dude, we were on a king size bed. The first night, you couldn't get farther apart.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
It was homophobia, and then after a while, I was like, dude, I don't give a fuck. I'm so tired. I'm laying out.
It's cold.
What about the times after
okay.
that?
Okay, so hold on.
Those
so
aren't 2 pillows.
I think we did 2 or 3 seminars in the winter there, and then one of the seminars you had something going
bad.
on. You had like a family emergency,
Yeah.
and Dave luckily told me, 12 hours before we were fucking flying out. Like, dude, you got everything.
Yeah.
There might have been 80 or 90 people there. It was the most. On what is it? Saturday is our big day.
Yeah.
I think I spoke till 8:30.
Damn.
And then guy had the audacity to come at and said, "I don't think I got my money's worth."
Dude,
And I was like, "What the fuck? I'm so fucking tired right now."
it was exhausting. Like I still.
Those Saturdays were long days, buddy.
They're hard.
I get
They're
asked to
hard.
do stuff now, and I told like we were talking last couple hours, and I'm like, there's no amount of money that's worth it.
I get
It's just
asked
too
that all the time.
tiring.
Well,
it's exhausting.
yeah.
That people don't have any clue what you have to put into it, emotion, like just mentally and physically to train 100 people over the course of a day.
Yep.
It's hard enough to train a person,
Yep.
but you're going through. Because every time we ever did something, the turnout was always huge. Oh, we had groups of 30. We'll each take a group of 30 or 20. Coach 30 people for 6 hours
Yeah.
and then talk.
And it's not just the difference though was we weren't just demonstrating. It's like these people I counted at one time how many reps were being coached of each person that would come, right? Just in a regular learner.
Because you had to coach warm-ups. You'd watch people with the bar screwing up.
Because you're trying to see where they're fucking up so you
Right.
can fix it. It was like 50 or 60 reps for each person. And keep in mind there's only like 5 reps per set or whatever it's going to be. And then if you look at some of the other seminars that were out there, or even out there today, they demonstrate, everybody does like 1 or 2 reps.
Yeah.
So how you can help anybody in 1 or 2 reps. That's where it gets
They
exhausting.
they
When-
want the money
Yeah.
When
as
people
opposed to actually helping people.
the cool thing,
If you're actually going to do a seminar, it's got to be for like 5 people that all know each other, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
because you can get.
But
But
similar skill level kind of thing.
I'll go to them because it's cool. Because I'll just like hit up people. I'm like, do you mind if I drop by your seminar? And there's been a number of them I've just dropped by, and I've actually end up coaching because I'm watching people on their phones, like not coaching.
Yeah.
And I'm like crestfallen because I know I used to go to seminars all those years ago, and like you just want like one thing. The fact that anybody could have ever said, like the guy who you told had balls on his hat when they were boxing gloves, he had a reason to be mad. Like he just walked out and left. But nobody could ever say that like they weren't coached.
Well, to be honest, that fucking dude.
That was one of the best moments ever.
He brought it on himself.
He
He was
did.
fucking talking back about it. I'm like, dude, I'm just trying to help.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fuck this, dude. You're gonna be an asshole about this? I don't care.
He was a boxer. He had
And-
boxing gloves on his hat.
It looked like a pair of balls.
Jim goes, "Are those balls on your hat?" He was so mad.
He walked out.
Yeah, he got up and left. But he paid. It was already
No,
paid.
I think Murph gave him his money back.
Did he?
Yeah, Murph told him to get out too.
I think I was there for that one. I kind of remember.
I was there for that
You were
one.
there.
Yeah,
I
you were
remember
there.
that. I mean, it didn't think about it this way. I just now remember it. So it left such a little impression on me. That's how okay this was.
Yeah.
It's like, I know it's my business.
Yeah.
I know you're part of the face of this business, but you know what?
That's completely justifiable.
There were balls in his head.
but when you go to
what's
other-
a man supposed to say?
When you go to other people's seminar, you realize what we all put into when we did them.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, and it was
Yeah,
fun, and we did it,
extends.
but it was a lot of hard work. You brought it up. You brought it up.
I was not part of that.
You brought that up.
That's what we put into that one.
Rose is like, we're gonna tell another. We're gonna tell that story again. People love that story, but no, nobody could ever walk away and complain. Whoever did really
Whatever.
did a lot of work, and a lot of people. Like now the turnouts. It's funny. I like see like people do seminars and they're like, oh, we're at this gym, and you like see 7 people like all spread out
Yeah.
trying to make it. They got the employees, you got the
Got
janitor,
cardboard
Yeah,
cutouts.
yeah,
guys holding the broom.
Yeah.
Hey, boss, when do you want me to do
Good
this?
turnout today.
Looks like I don't have to clean today.
People brought their kids, pets. Well, picture looks full.
All right,
7
I'm
paying
gonna try
customers.
this
Are they?
shit
I don't keep. I mean, they're still doing lots of that.
Not the last year, of course not. But
No.
yeah,
Oh,
up
man, that's
until up,
fucking gross. You're way
I
out of your
didn't.
mind.
I didn't do that one.
No, but you said that.
I told
hummus
you what it
good,
was.
man.
This one was good.
No, you said hummus is good.
I
That's like
said-
gross. That's diet food.
I don't like that one. I don't like plain hummus. What are you, a communist? Eating plain hummus.
Oh, that's fucking
What's
gross.
wrong with you?
That's terrible.
You bought
know
it.
What? The Fit Crunch is better than that.
It is certainly much better.
Way better.
Boy, that's an indictment.
I
on that
told
hummus,
you
huh?
this hummus was good.
Oh, that's hummus too?
Rhodes,
Yeah.
he ate more of his Fit Crunch, so I don't care. Listen, all you fat people out there trying not to be fat.
Maybe we should take a question.
Oh yeah.
We got
Yeah.
a question?
Eat
Anything?
if you don't want to be fat, eat half of a king size Snickers.
No. Eat a Fit Crunch bar.
Couple things. One, Murph just signed in.
No way.
Can we block him? Can we block him? You've got to have that kind of technology here.
Hey, Murph,
we put a
listen.
man on the moon, for Christ's sakes.
Listen, man, we just promoted the hell out of your gym. So there's that
Absolutely.
little super chat button. Click that and hit the $50 one.
He's currently responding, and it looks like "fuck you guys."
All right. That's
with an accent.
So wait. So you're not gonna donate to the nacho fund?
Did he spell it FAWCK?
He wants to jump in with either call one of you guys.
Well, first of all, he can't jump, so
Yeah, he can't jump.
And which one of our numbers does he have?
Exactly. He can try all he wants.
I talked to Murph 2 weeks ago.
He's got mine. I
talked to Murph 2 weeks ago.
Murph, you're a good dude.
Guy hasn't texted me. And everybody knows Jim's not going to reply, so he's not even going to
He doesn't
bother.
even reply to me,
My phone's off.
which is fine.
Yeah, it's always weird when you get like a response from Jim. You're like, oh, something must be wrong.
Nah, if it's urgent.
I
he'll
called
reply.
Rhodes the other day.
Yeah.
I know he's like, dude, fucking Jim's dying.
Yeah, something's wrong.
He must need a kidney.
I called my buddy Joey one time and to talk about some music stuff, and he's like, answered, dude, are you okay? What's wrong? And I was like, nah, I just got to talk to you about this new band. He's like, oh, all right. Wow, okay.
You called me in the middle of a school day, and I stopped doing what I was doing because I'm like, this must be important. I'm like, someone take over.
What are
See, that's why I don't call, because if I
it's
do have
important.
something to say,
That's right.
we can at least talk a little
Well,
bit.
yeah. If he ever really needs somebody, we're all there, and he knows it.
We talked about this last time I was up here. I get a call at work 2 summers ago. He's like, dude, you sitting down? I'm like, yeah, what's up? He
I mean,
goes,
are you fucking
He's
sitting
like,
down?
I'm like, yeah, dude, I'm at my
knees
desk.
don't work.
He's like, dude, I found the best fucking pants. I can get in my truck and I don't have to hike them up. You know what I mean? And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, I'll send you the link.
You know what I did? Do you know where I was driving to?
Where?
I was driving to the shooting range because now I could bend
you
over
could
and pick up the
the
fucking brass. Yeah, I was so happy. I just like fucking honey, fucking loaded up, couple hundred fucking rounds, and I'm like, I'm going. Here we go.
there you go.
I can pick up the brass.
I was doing squats in my bedroom. Ran down, honey. She calls them my happy pants. Like, I've never seen you happier in my entire life. That and when we went to a gym early on, and there was a neck machine there. And
One of those old ones. That
the 4-way neck, and she's like, you are the happiest man I've ever seen in my life. I'm like, I just cut my workout. I'm like, I don't fucking care. I'm just doing neck.
Just doing neck all day.
Ooh, Rhonda, if you're listening, do you have a neck harness back there?
Yeah.
Neck harness. I gotta get a neck harness.
All right.
Neck harnesses. So what do we
Do
got?
you have leather ones, Dave?
I think so.
All right.
I need a neck harness.
Yeah.
Got trained neck.
So we got a few questions that came in. Everybody's just kind of wondering what everybody's doing for training nowadays.
Who cares?
Yeah.
I will share because I've actually feel better than I have in like decades. I'm not training as heavy as I used to. I had to do one thing Matt, Jim and I have been talking about, and even Dave, because I've hit up Dave for stuff. Dave, you figured out what works for you, conjugate. Like you're like, I can do my body can handle a single. Mm-hmm. But Jim's like doing a ton of like calisthenic work with dumbbells and kettlebells, weight
no
vests.
dumbbells, just fucking just weight walrus stuff.
Yeah. Rhodes is kind of I can do my version of squat, bench, and deadlift, and I've kind of done an elimination training. I had to take everything out. I can't do the little stuff. I've actually cut my warm up out. I warm up on the bar. I have my days of stretching. So it's weird. Like again, we talked about. Everybody can get to where they want to go in a different way. I mean, I'm using the 5-3-1 percentage just because, I went back to the max effort and I was like, yeah, I can't handle this. But meanwhile, Dave, this is what his jam. It works for him. At a certain point, you find out what isn't going to screw you up. That's for the goal. As if you want to keep training hard, is finding out how you can train hard without screwing yourself up.
The great Dr. Ken, I say this all the time. He said,
"Rest in peace."
Yeah,
great
Jesus.
dude.
Mm-hmm. He said, when you get older, don't worry about what you can't do.
Yes.
Worry only about what you can do, and just fucking. He's like, so if you can't squat, fuck it, just be Mr. Lunge.
And stop getting. You got to find what works for you, and stop getting too influenced. There's so much information out there. Like this was the first time because we're together and we've trained for years, and I'll jump on the bandwagon. I've gotten so much great ideas from them. But like they did yoga this morning, like a 10-minute like yoga.
I do yoga every morning.
And I have a regular stretch I go through. About 6 months ago, I'd be like, oh yeah, I'm going to try that. And I'm going to walk around an hour later and I'm going to hurt because I'm going to try to do something that I can't do or don't know how to do or haven't introduced. And you got to stop being so easily influenced. Like if something's working, just keep working the program.
Ride the mule.
Yeah.
Until it fucking dies, yeah.
But there's so much information. I need to try this. I was the king of adding things in. I want to throw in some burpees. Remember your 2-count burpees?
Yeah, we were doing that.
Yeah, I got my handles. I'm doing my burpees at school. Then I'm like doing all right. In the morning, I get some elevated leg, rear elevated leg lunges, everything else. And before you know, I'm adding more crap and more crap and more, and I feel worse and worse and worse. But I'm like, I should feel better. And like I texted Harry. because I didn't like the answer I got from one of you guys on something, so I texted Harry Selko. I'm like, Harry, they said I'm
Very
doing
liberal of
like
you.
the truth.
it's totally true, and Harry, God bless him,
Handle the truth.
he gave me the smackdown. I'm like, those guys said this is too much. You know what I'm talking about. He's like, no, they're right. I'm like, oh!
Yeah. You can't handle the truth.
Right, but you have your sounding boards, and like that was one of those cases where I didn't listen. I didn't get what I wanted to hear, so I didn't like what Daddy, Mommy said, so I went, But it's and also having people you can talk to and trust, because there's not a lot of people out there who are going to give you good advice. Most of you just want to hear
What you want to hear.
validate.
Yeah,
they
they
ask
wanna
a question
validate, yeah.
that they ask a question and they know the answer they want. They never consider there's a potential that they might not get the answer they want, and then they just try to defend what they want to hear. So you're wrong.
We were, last time I was in London, we were talking about something like rows, and I'm like, I can't do rows. Or you and I were talking about something like, you brought up this exercise, you're like, then you walked back, you're like, oh yeah, but you can't do that. Because a lot of times you're just trying to convince someone what you're doing is going to be good for them. And like you actually stopped, because you've given me a lot of, great stuff. We for years, I wouldn't have been 600 without you. And Dave. I mean,
It's the lift off. That's really all.
I
was good at that.
single man. I still love that
The
you
handies.
lift off 900 pounds. Like they're like, you had one lift off guy. I'm like, yeah.
I think the
fucking
training,
Rhodes.
for me, the training's different when you're. I just say it's a washed up meathead. Like I can still, and maybe you guys see the same thing. I can still see when I'm talking to like a younger lifter, or they say they're serious. You can kind of like tell in their eyes if they're not, like immediately.
If you have to tell me you're serious, you're
Yeah,
not.
I
If
mean,
you
you
have to
can
tell me
tell.
you work hard, you're not.
But then there's this certain thing that you see in the other ones is like, okay, somehow or another, this training thing is you're gonna be stuck with it for the rest of your life. So you got to figure out how to do it joint friendly. Yeah. You still got to be able to put goals out there
funny.
you can train
like
towards. Because the one thing people used to always say, oh, when you're on your deathbed, you're not going to think about this training bullshit. And I bet you've been there a couple times. I've been there a couple times. You know what I was thinking about? My training. My family was part of it. I wasn't sitting there thinking, oh, God, I'm never going to be able to work out again. I was thinking about the times in the gym.
Yeah.
Because it's part of your life.
Well, yeah, the big things that like you guys are going to do your little thing, your competition thing, whatever it is. Those mean a lot because you kind of train for them. Those they're not obstacles, but I hate the word goals. Those objectives, right? Those are things you're going to look back on, right? And so you got to kind of control the stupidity.
That's perfect word.
With what you were saying, I try to have enablers, right? The people that are like, yeah, like JL Holdsworth, like, yeah, fuck it, do whatever and then realist. So if I have this idea, like, here's what I want to try to do in the next year, training-wise, to keep me focused.
You know who to talk to.
Well, I talk to both.
Yeah.
Right? Because the one is going to be the one I'm going to go to when I just don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
Right? Because we all have that. Like, fuck it, I don't want to do this anymore. And like, man, remember you said, like, oh, yeah, okay, this. Then the other one's like, Dave, that's really, really fucking stupid. You don't want to do that one. So that balance. But you're completely right. Yeah. You got to be careful. Like if you ask me about training, I can't tell you what I do because your joint history is completely different. What's going on in your body. We can talk about ideas, but it can't be like, yeah, man, you should do this like max effort
has to
spider
be
bar
ideas and principles and not specifics.
Yeah.
And that people that know you and you know the person you're speaking to. And like one thing I think you brought up, Dave, is you see what people are doing now. You don't see what they were doing the whole way up. That's one of the biggest issues with, especially, what is a novice, an intermediate, someone under 5-10 years? And I think that makes a lot of butt hurt. I've been lifting for 2 years.
Oh, I'm so proud of you.
And you just, nobody has any humility. Like you're a novice. You're a novice for a long time.
I don't know if you guys still sell it, but the Naim Suleimanoglu book, it was packaged like a Russian manual, the white cover and the spine. And in the book, they detail his training from a young child, and it was like 300-meter run, dip bar walk across, chin-ups, standing long jump, just random stuff.
Yeah.
And everyone sees is him doing 3 exercises, maxing out 65 times a day. And there was a mass, and even before that, Abajev, he whittled down to 12, then 9. Then 6. Like it was a process to get him to where he was, and unfortunately, everyone doesn't do any of the process and just goes to the final thing, which I couldn't even imagine. Like why, people always get hurt. Can't figure out why they don't have the background.
Yeah,
and it even goes for videos like on Instagram of pros training, and some of it's like kind of tough to watch. And then like the old Dave and I, it's like it doesn't matter. Like Derrick Henry's 6'2", like he was he's never played in a league where he's been challenged.
Right.
Yeah, not yet.
I mean, if anyone is interested in high school football, watch Derrick Henry's highlight tape from his senior year. He'd rush for, in that year, 4,200 yards.
In a season.
In a season.
It's insane.
As a freshman.
Like, that's a great career.
In a freshman, he rushed for every year was over 2,000 from freshman to senior year.
He's a beast.
And so, like, it looks, and I'm not saying Derrick Henry's training wrong. I don't really follow Derrick Henry.
Some of that explosive.
So what I'm saying is sometimes you see some of the shit they're doing. It's like, well, first of all, there was a process to get there. And second of all, like, he's a freak of nature.
Right.
That's why he's getting paid so much
You're not
fucking
him.
money.
Mm-hmm. Don't worry. It's like what Tom Brady does. Don't worry about it.
I mean, you could question whether it's optimal. It's working for him.
Wait, I don't. It's not about that.
Right.
The problem is someone who's 5'10", 135 is seeing that, and it's like that's not where you need to be right now. And I'll never forget when I was at Kentucky, there some guy did some internship or whatever. I don't know exactly how they found it out, but they found out that Marshall Falco never went over 225 in the squat, and then was questioning why he had to go over 225. And I just simply stated, "Are you Marshall Falk?"
It's like
and he hung his head. He's like, "Yeah, you're right."
Who was it? Emmett Smith didn't want to get hit in practice, I think, in college.
Bo Jackson.
Was it Bo Jackson?
Bo.
Bo
was not a practicer.
And someone to get
and then every kid now is like, well, Bo didn't. You're not Bo.
Mm-hmm.
He ties his shoes better than you can. Yeah. Like, don't compare yourself to Bo. Come on.
But a lot of the advice I give, and here's, I don't, because I'm not in the business, is even when I'm on like some forum or something, I've been on Jim's forum and I give some advice and Jim has to pipe back like, and for you novices and intermediates, it's different because I forget, I'm so beyond thinking to that point. Like I've just recently, I don't warm up anymore. It was adding too much. First of all, my warm up got stupid because I got influenced by everything. My warm up got longer and longer. I have my buddy, my buddy Rob, he loves your warm up, and he loves volume, but he's a little younger than I am.
No, my warm up's not volume.
No. But the one you had, the video of your athletes going through.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you have them out there doing hanging leg raises, and he digs that. Like his body's younger, he can handle all that. Everything I was adding more volume. My movement patterns are not complicated with training. I'm belt squatting, shoulder press with a shoulder saver on a Swiss bar and a trap bar deadlift. So it's not like I'm doing anything complicated. So if I can't, and again, I hike, I swim.
If it doesn't fit in those if you can't load anything outside those parameters, is that what you're saying?
No, but I can't. But no, what I'm saying is I don't need to warm up for those movements. Yeah. Like I can use the bar. Those movements aren't complicated. Again, if I was getting under a straight bar, if I was doing a regular deadlift, might be a different story. But it's not, if I just take small jumps, start with the bench. I would start with the bar. I'm doing like a couple sets of 50, but. When I'm with my coach, and I'm like, everyone fucking starts with the bar. Yeah. I'm like, anyone here bench 500? No. Well, when I did, we started with the bar. Yeah. So I got 10-pound bumpers for the trap bar, so I start with those now. The belt squat, and I start with a quarter, 25 pounds. So for me, it just works better because that movement pattern. I jack myself up doing rear elevated split squats. I jack myself, all different warm-ups. I'd end up doing too many pull-aparts. My shoulders and neck are killing me. So, but that works for me, and I forget for some novices, they need that. That's volume. That's work.
It's the one thing that before I had my first hip done, that here we go. Right. That it was a conversation that I was having with the surgeon. It was about joint wear and tear. Right, so I mean we're all older now, so the joints are all banged up. Now I don't know what's in your joints because I don't MRI, X-ray, stuff like that. So my hip was essentially bone on bone, the shoulders bone on bone. So we're having this conversation. It's like, well, what have you been doing in the past year? It's not going to change the fact that I still need to have it replaced. Mm-hmm. I'm like, well, I don't understand this because I'm doing all these freaking leg swings, and nothing against DeFranco, but there's the DeFranco 8,
Agile 8
for your hip, the Agile 8. I'm doing a shit ton of that, right? And he just kind of stops and he's like, have you ever thought about how many repetitions you're adding to that joint?
That's already bone on bone.
It's already bone on bone. He says you may have expedited the process be with these 300 reps that you're doing. So at that point, I started thinking, oh, wait a freaking minute, with all my joints, right? So
I only have so many reps left, and I'm wasting them on split squats.
So
corrective exercises.
When most people think of wear and tear, they're thinking of the work sets, the heavy sets. There's still reps with everything else when it's bone on bone, right? So we're older, we're probably more bone on bone.
I did the same thing you did with my hip.
Yeah. So
I do mobility.
Yeah. So now when I look at my warm-up stuff, even my exercise selection is like, well, how many repetitions do I need to get the result that I want to get?
To do a 45-inch box squat, how warm do I need to get?
I don't know. I don't know how he jumps
lean backwards
onto the box
with
the weight on his.
I just maxed out.
He takes the bar off and
he's got to shake first.
Pull him up.
My feet come off the ground.
There's a hydraulic thing.
And then you stomp.
And then the shake.
Yes.
Nothing like the shake of a squat.
Yeah, exactly.
Somehow
when I max out
above,
he's got your. How are you above? How are you above?
Start here and then go.
How are you above 180 degrees?
When he gets close to above parallel,
it's less than. I just maxed out 2 weeks ago, and it was what I was training for. And it was under 15 total reps to work all the way up and max out.
There you go.
Now that's not counting.
He's got a hydraulic box that pushes him back up.
Yeah, I'm doing free squats first, but anyhow, you get it.
Yeah.
Just to so everyone's clear, the guys I coach, we do a shit ton of calisthenics and warming up. So this is most people listening probably don't fall into any of this category.
But some of you,
you will at some point maybe.
We got a lot of old geezers listening to this. Murph's online.
Yeah.
So seriously,
tripping over his beard.
I do get hit up by a lot of older lifters now. I mean, that's the thing. We've been around long enough where there are a lot of older people who want to stay in the game. We've lost a lot, not saying dead, although a lot of them have been going too. But there's still a lot of old meatheads that want to figure out how to do it.
That's why I totally get it. I'm
just
saying,
keep going where you're going because I like where you're going. I know where you're
it's just you have to understand that it is a completely different thing with kids.
Yes.
And
absolutely.
The other thing is
coordination.
Yeah, the amount of stuff that we do with the kids now is, and my wife calls herself a glorified PE teacher now because kids are so undertrained.
They have to build a base.
Well, they don't even need to build the base; they need to get the tools.
Yeah.
I'm not, and I'm not saying every kid's like that, but it's unbelievable. Are you trying to be all coy?
I'm just not trying to make a lot of noise.
I know.
He's going with the more organic
blue chips.
Is this what you wanted me to do?
Yeah.
Is this good?
That's what you wanted to do.
That's annoying as hell.
Yeah, that's what I was trying not to do. I wasn't hiding the food.
He was
he's
rubbing one out.
Vincent's sneak eating under the table.
There is a massive difference, even between the kids I coach and how we were 15 years ago.
Yeah,
a truly advanced lifter. Versus how we are today. So
it's all specificity, though, right? Because you're trying to work different abilities with them.
Here's the thing: is when you're coaching young athletes, there's nothing really specific anymore because they're so poor.
Right. Well, it's I get it.
I know.
I'm thinking specificity of the sport.
Yeah, but even people can argue this all they want, but. I always, when I do these seminars, people ask about what we do for running, and we do 50s and 100s and a lot of 50s and, prowler stuff, whatever. And I always say my job would be a million times easier if every kid I coach could run a mile. And not jog a mile, run a mile. And it's like the old Earl Campbell. They did a mile test with the Oilers, and he did poorly all the time. And the coach is like, well, I tell you what, when it's third and a mile, I won't give Earl the ball. But it'd be nice to have that skill set where a kid could run for a long period of time and not freak out or pass out or something like that. So even within the confines of now, obviously with our older kids, we're a little more specific with our conditioning. But just for a 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th grader, it would be awesome if we have to teach a push up from the bottom to the top. Where they put their hands, chin-ups is a wash. Not a lot of kids can do that. So it's you're just kind of building a physical base where they can actually do the movement. And of course, as you can probably imagine, you have one 8th grader who can deadlift 300 pounds with a trap bar, and another kid, when he does the squat, and I'm not joking, he will bend over and touch his toes with a body weight squat. He won't even bend his knees. And that's what you're kind of working with. So I mean, that's an extreme example, but
I was blessed in high school. Our coach grabbed the bigger, faster, stronger.
Yeah. If you have a general
that
plan,
was amazing.
If you have a general plan, it's awesome. It's some way to progress.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget Vincent said, someone was complaining about something. He's like, listen, progressive overload works for everyone. It does.
Yeah.
Now, the problem, of course, comes in, maybe you're doing too much of this or you're not eating enough or whatever the case may be. And sometimes your progress, like the older you get, like I'll never forget Dave talking about 5 fucking pounds.
Yeah.
Now, the problem is like I think a lot of younger lifters and even intermediates expect that progress to happen every workout, where you may have to phone it in for 8 weeks so you can have 1 extra rep, on your bench or whatever, what I'm saying, or whatever it may be. So that period of progress is really, to build to there, is very long, where obviously when you're a beginner, you can make progress,
Well, that's where people tap out because...
Yeah, well, that's one of the reasons why we start slow. You can have continued success for 4 fucking years.
It took me 3 years to go from 585 raw bench to 600.
Yeah. How long did it
5
take you,
pounds a
Dave?
year.
What's that?
To get to 600. What was your bench? Yeah, but what was your
But
bench?
mine was raw, though.
Yeah. What was your bench before 600? When you benched 600, what was...
He probably benched 590 raw.
Is it 585?
It was 585. It was like 5 or 6 years.
Okay. Yeah.
Just to get that. I mean, there was a lot of misses in there, but to the same point, I graduated high school with a 500 raw bench.
Yeah.
That's
so
nuts.
you're thinking, oh my, I'm going to bench 800 pounds.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do this. Then it came to this wicked screeching halt, and it's like, okay, in 3 years I go from 0 to 500 or whatever it was, and then 15 years to go from 500 to a 610 shirt bench. So really just a 500 to a 540.
Yeah.
In that period of time, it's a different ceiling that everybody has to. And I think when you get close to that ceiling, that's when you got to look at a lot of the specificity. That's when you got to really work. But most people listening to this are so far away from that.
Yeah.
They just need to be consistent and train hard.
The one thing I always admired about like Dave, like everyone here, including myself. Let's just talk about me for a little bit. Is the love of training, even when it's beating you the fuck down. I'm not talking physically, but mentally.
Yep.
When you're not making progress. And one of my friends said, when the longer I don't make progress, the bigger the jump I know is going to be in the future. Because all of a sudden, it's like, I always tell the story. It took me 7 years to go from 300 to 400 on the bench, and then to get to 440. Was like 2 months, and then I got 455 a month later, and it was like, everything just became kind of clearer. And there's probably a little, who knows, there's other reasons why, but it was like, holy shit, thank you.
Yeah.
And if I would have given up or felt sorry for my, whatever, I know, and I'm not saying like, dude, how many times did you drive home from Westside ready to fucking eat it?
It's all the time. It's all the time. Right? Just even still now, like when I come to work, I never go through that front door. I go through this door, so I got to walk through here because I don't want to train all the time. Half the time I don't want to, but I still do.
You do it, yeah.
Like even when post-surgery, I'll walk in here and I'll I call it bar porn. I'll just grab the bar to figure out, so I don't get too far away. This is what I'm getting back to, and that's that different thing I was talking about. Where,
dude, I hate to tell you this, but every time I walk in that high school weight room, we have a couple of your bars, and no one wants to use them because they're too gnarly. But I'm just
it's just like bar porn. Man. It's just like you gotta have
jerking that bar up.
And going back to what we were talking about before, when we're all talking,
what I'm talking about.
We'll do it this afternoon.
Dave's porn
exactly the porn. Yeah, bar porn. Right there.
Van Nuys, California. It's always Van Nuys. Yes, the Valley. All right.
But if people start eavesdropping, say if we just talked about our training, start throwing around different training ideas, and people kind of eavesdrop on that. Yes, they're going to be able to learn a little bit, but as we said earlier, it's not going to really apply because we're probably all the same way. If you have other people that are training with you in your gym or coaching or whatever, you're going to put out as much effort into them as you see the effort that they're putting out into you. You're still going to do the minimum because you got to be able to get them stronger.
Right.
But if you see that this kid is consistent, they're working harder all the time.
Oh, Dave, you have no idea.
Yeah, you're going to start putting more out, but the ones that are missing half the time, not showing up, have a reason they're not working hard, you're only going to put out, you're just going to put out the
minimum.
absolute minimum.
Make sure they don't kill themselves.
Yes. So the problem is people will hear us talking about training or talking with other people that are putting out that maximum all the time. Then they want to apply that to their training when they're half-assing it.
Yeah.
Right.
It will never work.
We always talk about how much easier it is to for someone, you know, more novice to max out versus someone who's got a bunch of years. Like, I never realized like how much, you know, a max effort lift for us could put us out for a couple of weeks because we recruit so much
did you ever hear
of
the
our
story
bodies versus like
the hammer thrower.
nah.
He did, I think, 4 or 5 throws in the Olympics.
These blue ones taste like they're burnt.
And,
if you want to try one.
They did some type of analysis after he threw in the Olympics or the World Championships, and he wasn't fit to train. He had expended so much of himself in those whatever throws.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, there's warm-ups and all that shit.
Right,
but
yeah.
it was something like 2 weeks or something like that.
Yeah.
Just
For 4 or
just
5
to recover
throws.
from
So-
4 or 5 maximal
Yeah.
throws.
So that's the one thing I've learned. Sometimes, more times than not, it's good to just mail it in. To just go in and do the
Well,
minimum,
Let me,
but do it well.
Yeah, like I have to specify this because we, when I do seminars where I do, if coach wants to talk, I'll talk to him. And I said we just have a lot. I started saying we just phone it in, and then I watched our kids phone it in.
You saw what phone it in means
And
to
like,
them
yeah.
versus what it means to us.
Well, they got it though.
Oh, did they?
So I put in built-in restrictors. So even if they want to train hard, they're still backing off a little bit. But the point is, our phone it in is hard.
Yeah. Okay.
But their ceiling's a little higher.
Because they have you.
Yeah, I'm making sure. But so when I say phone it in, you're not just going in there and just looking around and doing 135.
See, I don't get it because I don't get, like, for me, and that's what I love to train. My wife does not love to train. She loves the results. We train together. I have home gym. It's amazing. I don't know how anybody lifts around other humans, but it's awesome to watch. At the end of a workout, she becomes increasingly happy, and I'm increasingly hostile and angry because it's just getting harder, and I'm just getting that angst from training. But I enjoy it, and even that's phoning it in. But I'm surly, and she's whistling Dixie. She's like, "All right, one more set," and I'm like, "One more set." And I'm like, I love this.
That would now be 2 sets.
Hey, throw us another question.
Yeah.
And wait, how's the nacho fun going?
I'm enjoying nacho fun.
People are donating actually quite regularly.
There you go. Nacho fun, see?
I gotta have one of these chips here.
So we got a
The
question
blue ones
that
are
came
kinda
in
gross.
The blue ones taste like they're burnt, yeah.
About kind of circling back to warm-ups with a specific beginner in mind. You guys had mentioned higher volume, lower volume, but specifically with a beginner in mind, what would you say for warm-ups?
That's all Jim.
When you talk about beginner, is it a beginner athlete or is it
what's
a
a
beginning
beginner?
power lifter?
So it's a beginning strength aficionado, someone who's into getting stronger.
I would
but
look up Dave's warm-up. That warm-up you had, like everybody
leg
going
raise.
through the hanging leg raises, because that's you said that's the stuff that most of the guys don't want to do, especially guys who train, athletes who train or lifters who train conjugate. They don't.
Training, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if it's an athlete, it's going to be different because we're talking about one plane here.
Right.
But
That's why I talk about my warm-up. I'm not an athlete.
yeah.
Like I'm just need to be warm enough to lift weights.
Yeah, the things I have in there are just hanging leg raises, and that's more, to be honest, just to open the hip flexors up and for back distraction.
Right.
But it's also for the ab work, which they're going to skip anyhow.
Right.
And then I think there's pull down abs for the same reason. Glute ham raises, and
I have a coach who does all his ab work right away. So after they warm up, the first lift they do is partner ab stuff. Because he's like, I know I don't want to do it,
Right.
and the kids don't want to do it, so let's just get this shit out of the way.
Was that on Instagram or somewhere? There is a video.
there's a YouTube video.
Yeah,
for
there's
it.
a
It's on our
YouTube
channel.
video, so they should check. I actually thought, and again, some lifters I know, like just strength.
No,
really,
I think
really
the important
enjoyed it.
thing is to warm up the lift that you're going to do. You know, I think that's a big part. You know, if you're going to bench, then just don't start with 135 and then 220. You know, it's old school shit like that. It's not going to be the best way to go. That was one of the first things that surprised me when I moved to Columbus with Louie, is everybody was warming up the bench with the bar. I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah, 95.
Yeah, I mean, every gym I ever trained at, it's like the 45-pound plate just stayed on the gym or stayed on the bar all times. I'm like, what the hell? What a waste of time this is. Then it didn't take long. You're just like, hey, man, I need to take another rotation with the bar, you know, because shit starts getting beat up a little bit.
I remember when we had Paul Childress came out, and I think Mark Bartley came out to Westside. And I think, and this is not being a dick, but Dave had the smallest squat in our group at 935, right? And we did 3 blues on each side that day. And Louie's like, Louie's been up since 4 a.m. So he's like, "Are we ready to go?" I'm like, "Lou, everyone just woke up an hour ago."
Yeah.
Our first set was with 3 fucking blues.
Oh yeah.
And I took that bar off, and I was like, "You got to be fucking kidding me!"
Oh my God, yeah.
And I think I worked up to 405 or something. And I remember like that. And first, I still can feel that when I put the bar on my back, I took it off.
Oh yeah. He went through some crazy ass phases like that, where if the 100, like he just for some reason, so y'all have to start with a 100-pound plate on each side of the bar.
Yeah.
Like if you can't do that, you're not strong. I'm like, well, what the hell? What happened to the bar stuff? You know, and so then it's like the 100-pound plates and then blue bands.
For anybody doing conjugate, I want to give them a piece of advice Dave gave me, and it was funny because there was some. I sold off some equipment that came to my house, and there was a bunch of like high school kids, and they were like Louis disciples. They knew everything, and this is how weird it is to not go outside of your domain. And it was bizarre because I'm like, oh, I wasn't trying. I'm like, I'm with the company that Dave Tate, and I'm like, they didn't even know. Like, I'm like,
They didn't even know who I was.
and nobody knows who I am, but. It was so bizarre. I'm like, you guys need to venture out. But Dave gave me some of the best advice for conjugating. I think with these young guys, they need to think of that's where they're lacking their volume. Like when young lifters fall in love or novice lifters fall in love with max work, you're not getting volume. And the other thing what helped me get over my 585 to a 600 is Dave told me to treat my speed work more importantly than my max effort work. And I never thought about that. Speed work was a day I did. But he's like, that's where you get your reps in.
Yeah.
And that's where you get your volume, a lot of volume from. And I was like,
and you get your volume from the assistance work.
But also from that speed bench is a lot. When you do the total volume of speed, I was like, I'll just get through speed bench. We talked about where I started off low and built back up. But that was really great advice. Like all those days are important. Everybody likes to max and conjugate. Everybody wants to max Westside. The younger guy, but nobody realized all the other work.
The one thing that when we were in Florida at Bob's place, we were watching them work out. It was a Sunday, and he had, I don't know, probably a handful of female lifters, and they'd reach their max in 2 sets. And Dave's like, you have to go up percentage-wise.
Yeah.
So, for example, if we're a 500-pound bencher, at 10% is 50 pounds, we can make plate quarter, whatever, plate quarter, you know what I'm talking about? Where maybe you bench 155, that's 15 pounds, so you start with the bar, and then you just add in 15 pounds, and now you actually have some warm-up and a little bit more volume. Yeah. Even if it's not, maximal reps or something like that.
Building volume.
Yeah, and that was a huge eye-opener with the kids because, their first set is 155, like, do we have to get some stuff? You can't just go 135. We got to start, and the older guys figured it out because I always let every kid that comes in that wants to fuck it up, I say, go ahead, give it a rip, bro. Yeah. And then 100% of the time they come back, that's the stupidest thing I've ever done. I'm like, yeah. So just relax. We had a kid whose heaviest deadlift was in train, maybe 290, 295. Right. He just pulled 365 for like 6. And the next day, and I told him, like, dude, it was a day that we were pushing it. And the next day or next Monday, he comes around. He's like, oh, my God. I know why we don't do that all the time. Yeah. Because, like, I was ruined because, we pushed the prowlers on Fridays, too. Yeah. And it was just like, but every kid, I'm like, yeah, let's see what happens, buddy. I mean, it got so bad that some kid was talking to me. And then the head coach and a couple seniors, and they're like, we already know what he's saying. We just want to hear you fucking tell me he's an idiot.
How much time at Westside would you guys spend after doing assistance work?
It depends on who you're talking about.
All right, Jim. Well, Jim, evidently none.
I mean, there were more people than you would think that just did the main thing and then just kind of slid out the back door.
Really?
And then there was.
Wait a minute, I gotta take a phone call. You don't even have a cell phone.
That was kind of frustrating
just call it
to
the
me.
phone booth.
Now, that frustrated the shit out of me because I would do a lot of the other assistance work. They were stronger than me, and I'm like, no, wait a minute, am I messing up here? But you have that mentality, so
yeah, that's skewed though because
it is.
Like my buddy Will Ramsey would get furious with me. He's like, you would just squat and then look around a little bit, and I'm like, I'm out of here. But that was how old was I? Maybe 30, and so I started training when I was at 13. I did a lot of other shit. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's just like the new Niam Silimanoglu. Like that's great what you do now, but that's not how I got here.
It's a different base of figuring out what it's.
And the
you
other
find
thing-
out later they weren't being lazy. They were doing what they knew worked best for them. Where somebody like Chuck, on the other hand, needed to do more volume.
Dude, if you ever do lat pull downs with Chuck, it's the worst fucking thing. You do 10 reps, and he's like, all right, here we go. We're doing 20. 1, 2. Like after you've done 13.
And let's say physically what he was doing was wrong. Mentally, in his mind, it's right.
Yeah, he
so
was right. He's
what are you
fine.
going to argue with that, right? So,
But the other thing is, when I used to squat and leave on Mondays, I would do the power squat. And I would do probably starting at a very light weight, maybe 25 sets. And every set was for a set of 10.
Yeah.
And my legs were fried.
So you got your work in.
Oh, yeah. And I did tons of back raises on the 45. That's the best piece of equipment you guys sell.
Yeah.
And I'm not, obviously you guys got great, you know what I'm saying.
I get it.
Of all the other manufacturers of that product, by far, I remember the first time I tried to load a regular 45. I just
you use that big camber bar.
Yeah, I got a lot.
but the first on a regular 45-degree back raise, I tried loading it. It just fucking tipped right over.
I was there the day it showed up at your house.
Where was you?
Yeah, because someone got. Yeah.
Yeah. So I still don't know who did it, and
I
don't want to know anymore.
And with my back, I got on it, and I was like, I ordered one like that week.
Yeah.
And it's funny, anybody who's ever like friend who's been trained, they've gotten one. They've ordered one. There really is, and for people, especially if you have a bad back.
Yep.
That's an exercise.
Did you see what we did with
always
ours?
do. You tilted it.
Yeah, we put a cinder block underneath, so now occasionally we just do regular back raises.
For the back end, for the feet.
Yeah, we raised it up, so it's because most back raises they don't have the dick pad. The dick saver.
Mine does.
No, yeah. Oh, you're on your.
Well, look, man, if you're
I'm
doing
talking
your job
I'm-
and you got a
and
turtle,
your turtles.
it's not going to matter.
No, I'm talking.
Yeah, because when you're 330, you're doing back raises. Getting out of bed is a back raise.
Yeah. It's funny. I was thinking. I was talking to someone, and I feel fucking phenomenal physically right now. I feel like I can take on the world. And I remember when we were in Canada, and this might have been the first time we were in Canada, or the second time. It was early on when we did the Swiss, and I couldn't. My fucking Martin Rooney. What a dick. I love Martin Rooney. I think he's
Sounds like it.
But no, because he's like,
just
hey,
bust his
let's go.
balls.
We're gonna go to whatever, some restaurant. I'm like, well, where is it? And Dave, and I look at, he's like, it's like a mile down the road. And I looked at Dave, I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding
like
me.
that Gretzky
Like, come
thing,
on, dude,
right?
you own a business. Taxi up. I know it's
Oh, God,
American
that
dollar goes far here.
Yeah.
Fucking terrible.
So we walked there, and Dave was coaching me. He's like, dude, just relax, just keep your head down. My back was so tight. By the time I got there, I was drenched in sweat. And it
remember
wasn't that I was out of shape.
No.
It was my back was so tight that the amount of pain.
I had to teach him how to do like
The fat man walk.
Yeah,
You
like
got
you
your
got to
legs
push
out
your belly.
wide. Yep.
You got to pull your belt down low, push into it, walk a
I
little
laid on
waddle.
the ground.
And then you
in
have
the
to
restaurant.
lean. Yep.
Yeah, so I'm coaching
They were
him.
feeding me wings because that's what I needed, a little more
Yeah.
salt.
Yeah, some soda.
So the funny thing is, once he got it, he like stops, he looks, he's like, "Thank you,"
Yeah.
because he was miserable. And it's like,
That was one of the worst times. And I, unfortunately, it took me a while to figure out that's probably not the best way. But squatting, it was unbelievably strong. I was
remember
so
what Martin
fucking
said?
strong.
Yeah.
After we get there, he looks to us and he's like, everything you told him is exactly what you never want to tell an athlete.
Well,
For like walking mechanics and all that, it's the opposite.
But it's the only way you could get through. We were going to a strongman at Mohegan Sun. I don't know if this is one of the ones I went to with you, but it's at maximum density, and I had to stop like every 20 feet because it was a casino's a long walk to get to from parking to get to, and I always carried a bandana, and I'm like stopping, I'm dabbing, I'm leaning, and then it's almost like you got to take a break because people don't get that kind of bulk anymore to know what that low back pump is. That low back pump is
I went to
painful.
the zoo with Whitney, my ex-wife, and she was pregnant. It was the best time of my life because she was so big at that time. And she's like, I gotta take a little break. I'm like, hey, cool with me, bro.
Someone's trying to push you in a gorilla cage.
Make it by the food.
Boy, you lost a lot of hair, gorilla. Get in there.
Why does he have no hair on his head? Everywhere else.
No, I had hair.
Oh.
No, I mean, I had some hairs. Yeah. I had 13.
Yeah. Couple on top.
Depends on what you want to. Okay, let's do another.
Yeah, we got another question.
Sorry.
Yeah, actually, that it feeds nicely into that zoo comment. Somebody wants to know the largest animal that each of you could probably take out using no weapons.
Nothing.
An ant.
I'd be lucky if I could take out a
Well,
mouse.
the good thing is
I fell on it.
we have opposable thumbs, we have knowledge, and we have guns.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Now
Huge fan.
they said no weapons.
No
though.
weapons.
no
at all.
weapon.
I stepped on a stink bug yesterday.
Yeah.
So I killed that. Wiped it out good.
That's.
Nice.
I'd hurt myself doing like if it's not a regular movement pattern. I'm whatever I'm going after. It's
The one thing I learned, like, you guys ever seen The Revenant? The
Yeah, oh,
movie?
yeah.
Do you remember the bear scene?
Oh yeah, fondly
So has anyone ever? I assume.
wrestled a bear.
Yeah, no. Have you
Yeah,
ever?
yeah,
Last week.
When I got hit by the motorcycle, on the motorcycle, and when I got caught in an undertow in Hawaii, I got smashed against the rocks. And I can only imagine with a bear or something like that, you're completely powerless. Because when I got hit, I remember like, holy fuck, dude! This. First of all, like, I can't believe I'm dying. This is how
This is how I'm going.
In a, but I laugh at some of these tough guys. Like, even if you're in the ring with Tyson back in the day, like, you were powerless.
No,
And yeah, I don't know.
that's a tough question. I'm sorry, I can't really.
Yeah,
I think the real answer is we all have guns.
Yeah, exactly.
There we go. Doesn't matter.
The animal,
ones.
I don't want to fight off his Rhodes.
I mean, I resist. 'Cause
True story.
It gets them hard.
Yeah, that was a quick one.
We got a few more that came in. Actually, another one on training specifically. Utilization of cleans for athlete development. Do you think they're necessary?
Not it.
I'm not.
I think they're helpful. I don't think they're necessary. It's
Is it that triple extension
nut.
important?
Elaborate.
yeah, triple extension is massively important.
Are there
It's-
other ways to get it that are safer?
No, it's not.
Well, it's not safe. It's the ability to coach it.
To coach it, yeah.
And then the
That's what I
ability
meant.
of the kid to pick it up. Like, you might like, if I coached in high school, I probably wouldn't clean the kids because it depends, but the learning time, I'm wasting valuable time teaching something that's good, but I can get it if we jump or
Right.
by
How would you
sprinting
train
or
it? What would you do instead of?
Oh, he's
jump, sprint,
med ball
agility,
throws,
med ball?
especially-
Yeah, like, it's not super important. It's another component of triple extension, but I don't think it's the end of the world if you don't do it.
Right, and you have to be able to coach it. And to be able to coach
Yeah.
it doesn't seem like
Well,
it's
it's
easy.
not. It's not just being able to coach it. When you're in, for example, high school athletes,
the amount of athletes you have to
amount of
coach.
athletes that you have, and the wide disparity. And the one thing is, you never want to coach down. Meaning, I always tell the younger kids, we're not stopping if you can't pick shit up,
Right.
because you're going to hold everyone back, and you're not important right now for the next season. However, you can't have 4 athletes being able to clean, this athlete doing this, because it just becomes an absolute
Can't keep
clusterfuck.
track of
So
what's going on.
bang for buck. It's
Yeah. Well, the
it
one
doesn't sound like it's worth it.
the one thing that whenever I get overwhelmed in my head, which doesn't happen very often, but I can't, this is the greatest job I've ever had in my life. I am in service of others. I'm helping the community. I'm helping kids. It's whatever. But I always what am I really looking to do? And I'm like, I just want our kids to be in great shape and be fucking strong and big. That's it. And I'm like, if something doesn't really fit the bill, or if I can't, I'm not an effective coach with cleans.
Right.
Now, if I had 2 or 3 athletes who were very athletic and it was just me and them, yeah, that would be awesome, because even with the kids now, I'd be able to customize everything. We'd be able to tweak every single set. I mean, it's awesome, but that's not the reality. I think they're good. I think they would be a main lift if you could do it, but I don't think it's necessary. And then people can argue that. And I'm like, well, then why have many programs won football games without it?
It seems like very rare scenarios and that you can implement it properly.
Well, let's say at London we could, but I'd have to have 8 coaches.
Right. Again, very rare
Yeah.
scenarios.
So especially and there's some high school coaches who are really awesome at coaching that, and that's fucking awesome. And I think, just like the first rule of coaching, I have rules of coaching is don't coach what you don't know.
Right.
And it's so if I always tell them, listen, if you're Mr. Bodyweight guy, that's what you're coaching,
You're good at it.
because you're going to be good at it,
And it's going to be effective.
yeah, it's going to be incredibly. It's maybe not the best, but nothing you do is going to be the best. And the other thing I remember I got this when I was talking to someone about the Prowler or something. This is back when I was working here. I said, they asked me about training high school kids or whatever, something like that. And I'm like, listen, what team would you not want to play if you knew they trained a certain way? Like, I'm just honest. Like, you're like, oh God, we got to play
Right.
St. Mary's, and like I know they do this, this, and this, and I know all their players, and then just fucking train like that, get them to that point, and that's what I tried to do. Like I want to be the team no one wants to play.
Right.
And I always tell the kids, I do not care if we win or lose. I just want bodies on the fucking ground.
To that, I want to jump in because one of the things that motto that's really carried me far the last couple of years, and just a variety of facets of my life, is don't let perfection be the enemy of good enough. And because that is a perfect example. Like, well, this program they clean. You know that more than anybody with college, and especially one of the interviews you talked about. If you don't complicate something enough, and but if
don't even start Rhodes on that. He got hosed out of a job because of that.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I mean, and that's terrible. And that
the one thing I'm going to talk because we and Rhodes knows this is
Rhodes knows.
We never implement anything until everything else is 100%.
Yep.
So it took us years to get to certain things that people probably take for granted, because I'm like, listen, one thing at a time. It may take 2 groups of kids to really understand it, then I'm adding something in. And then as soon as we add something in, what do you think happens?
Yeah,
I take something out.
Yeah.
So the kids understand, like, well, why didn't we do this today? Well, because we did more than this. Or when we do the prowlers on Fridays, the volume is very low, on the assistance work. And
it's a give and take. You can't just add it. It's like
and that's good for all lifters.
Yeah, it's good for everyone.
Well, yeah.
But like with athletes especially, I think, because the toll of – so I deal with college athletes. So you've got school, meetings, study hall.
Alcohol.
Girls, way too much partying. You have all that stuff. It's all stress. And then you have the stress of running. And little stuff like watching film and understanding your assignments on the field, like that's all energy spent, and in a way it's stress. So you can't say, oh well, they're doing this today, it's 8% less. So you have to back off somewhere. And as long as you're getting in your basic movements in the weight room, and you do a little bit less, it's like if you have to do A, B, and C, why do D? All you got to do is A, B, and C. And then if you can make A, B, and C super efficient, like what Jim was saying, we're not going to add something until we're so good at this, because that constant changing of exercises is like, that's still mental stress on them.
Oh yeah.
And so I read that in some Russian thing somewhere. But it makes sense, because you have to think about it, and if you throw a whole bunch of different things, that's more stress that they have to recover
Russian bang
from.
bus.
Dave's
the logo. So it's I don't want to say perfection of all the movements, but it's. We were talking about this yesterday. If you turn your head, do I have to worry about how much you suck?
Right.
So as soon as I watch you, everything looks great.
Turn your head.
When I turn around, you're a complete tard again. You're not doing anything different until you figure it out. And when you're working with 30 or 40 or 50 people, it's, you gotta make sure that you can, I call it the press play. Like I have some football groups, a lot of the older kids, like literally nice. I can press play, and I tell them, if I'm leaning against a wall and my arms are crossed, I'm happy as could be, because I don't have to do anything,
right, because
you're doing what I need you to do. And then as the groups get younger and younger, I actually have to work. I actually sweat when I work. And then you get some of those groups where there's, 18 or 20.
Hang on. One thing I want to share with when you talk about taking things out. Since I've done my elimination training, the quality of all my movements have gotten better, because I'm doing less movements and I'm focusing more on them. So a little more, not necessarily time under tension, but focus on the lift. I'm actually feeling more effort with the same weight, the same exercises, but I'm putting a little more effort into them. My form's always good, but you can squeeze everything, feel everything a little better. The quality of my reps has increased infinitely since I've taken more stuff out of my program.
This is what we got. Be really good at it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Whereas opposed to like if you have 12 or 13 things in a workout, I'm talking like lifts.
Right, and there's probably some stupid proof stuff you can throw, like face pulls and push downs. Like you can throw but like when you're younger.
I call it the stuff that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If you don't do it, it doesn't matter.
But if you do a lot of it,
it helps.
Hold on, sorry.
No, go. I'm done.
I was just talking to Dave. Do you remember? See if you can remember this shit. What's his name?
You can't remember.
I got it. No. the Sonny. What's used to lift at Westside? Sonny.
I know who you're talking about.
What's his last name?
Bono.
That's a car guy. The car guy, Louis' car guy at the time. He used to drive Louis' car.
He was. You know what?
I know. I don't know the last name, but
he did the band pushdowns. Yeah. And someone brought up band pushdowns. I'm like, anyone remember the Sonny Kirshner?
Yeah.
And I was just thinking he did tricep pushdowns. Louis wrote about it in an article about 100 band pushdowns, and his bench went from like 415 to 470 or something in a cycle or something like that. And I always laugh because I feel like I'm part of an era now.
Yeah.
And we were reminiscing, and for those that don't know, Dave used to host a meet in what was
Zanesville, right?
No,
don't get mad. Everybody's going to want Dave to host a meet again.
What was the name of the town? It's up north. It's right outside of Columbus. That's where he used to hold the IPA
Delaware.
Nationals. No, it wasn't Delaware. It doesn't matter. But Dave used to hold it was a 3-day meet. Am I right? IPA Nationals, and it was.
What do you need, Dave?
I'm good.
Vincent and we were all talking about. Vincent and I were reminiscing. Like we used to go to those meets, and it was like fucking like this weird dudes, and like you'd have a cop and a fireman next to a guy who just got out of jail. Mm-hmm. Right, and then you have like a Hell's Angel. I'm not going to tell it. Like I remember the guy he always pushing his hernias and taping them up.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Yeah. He passed away.
Yeah, a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like
I think
10
at one of
years.
the APF Nationals, someone had just gotten out. I don't want to say his name. He just got. He's like, he just got out.
Yeah, and I just remember like it was such a weird blend of characters.
But it was awesome.
Yeah, it was, and like no one was like weird about it. But it was very competitive. Don't get me wrong.
It was an aura of like you never knew you weren't afraid, but you didn't know. If you were a new guy, you were intimidated.
You know what it was like going to a 1980s hardcore show. When like, listen, I don't know, there might be a fucking pit bull here, or
you never know what was going to happen.
Yeah.
You had no idea, and now that's the. I hate sounding like the old guy, but that's what when I go to meets now. Meets are boring to begin with, but at least you had the characters.
Yeah.
You don't have the characters.
But even the gyms too, like people don't travel. Like that's how I met you.
Dave called me up. The fuck, Wendler?
Yeah.
You sent me a volleyball player?
Yeah.
Greatest story ever.
Like,
in case nobody heard it, go ahead, tell it.
But when I walked into
the fuck, because I didn't know you were going or something, and he's like, I don't know, some guy came up saying he know you.
Give the story. Come on.
What do you look like? He's like, you look like a volleyball player, and I was like, Rhodes.
Long story.
Meanwhile, I'm 6'4", like 255 pounds.
Yeah.
Not
a volleyball player.
Small, but
meanwhile, Wendler sent Rhodes.
Yeah.
Wendler sent Rhodes to Westside to see Dave.
I don't remember how you. Like,
I called
you
Louis.
Must have called Louis.
I was at Pitt.
Oh, okay.
And I had called Louis. I said, hey, can I come out and train? He's like, we're doing a meet this weekend and blah, blah, blah. And the guys don't usually like people there. I'm like, I totally get it. And I'm like, you guys going to be in West Virginia? It was at Charleston.
Yeah.
It was when Chuck squatted 10, 25 or something like that.
That was my elite. That was my first elite.
Nice. And he's like, you're going to be there? Fuck it. Come on out. Who cares? And so I drove out to Westside that Friday morning. I left at Pittsburgh at, I don't know, like 4 in the morning. And I pulled up to the gym at Demarest. The windows were painted and the music was already going. It was like 7:45 I was like, I opened the door and it was Chuck Vogelpohl standing there. I'm like, oh my God. And all the names in there, I can't remember everybody, but it was the morning crew on Friday. Louis like, all right, you're a new guy. You're up first. I'm like, these guys are getting ready for a meet to do like something good. I'll just squat when they're done. But there was a part of it was fear, but part of it was I want to watch these guys,
right,
and learn. A lot of people want to talk about stuff. Mm-hmm. We learned when I came to you. I shut my mouth and I watched and I listened, and it's the same thing I did at Westside. And when I would come out to Kentucky, when you were in the
garage.
Storage garage there, we would talk, but I would just sit and listen and listen to people that were better than me,
spot and load.
older than me. Yeah,
show up, spot and load,
and
offer
there's
something.
so much to learn, and when you don't have that, that's where I did all my learning.
Yeah.
Now I can talk about it. Now I can back up the ego. Just like we can all back up that ego because we've been there, and the learning and the watching is like. So I watched Chuck and Tilt was there, and I can't remember all the guys now, but I watched all these guys go through their groups, and I finally understood like, this is what the pace of dynamic squat day looks like. This is what the pace of this looks like, and this is the intensity. And you could tell the focus on squat versus the focus when you got to glute hams is the mail it in type. You worked your ass off, but you learned all that stuff by shutting the fuck up and
if
watching.
You were in the
I
rotation,
learned so much.
If you were in the rotation, you'd have never gotten
and I remember I knew who Dave was, and I was standing there being just in the way, taking up oxygen for people that were working hard.
How could you at that
size? And he goes, "We're gonna belt squat." And it's because he wanted me to load the belt squat for him. He wanted me to help him load. I didn't know that.
But you were all proud. You're like,
I
was
belt
squat with Dave Tate.
But I figured it out pretty quickly because I was like on the back
two-man belt
side.
squat.
I was on the back side of the belt squat where it was harder to get in and load. And I figured it out pretty quickly, but I'm like, holy shit, it's fucking Dave Tate. I'm belt squatting with him. And he's like, put a plate on. I'm like, I can't lift that much weight. I didn't say anything. I'm like, okay. He would do 8 or 10 reps. I'd get like 3.
Shaking through.
And
Which one?
I was still, but yeah, Dave was super cool to me. Like, why would you talk to some random dude that walked in?
But
he wasn't trying to be my buddy, but he was like, I served a purpose.
You kept, and you kept your mouth shut.
I kept my mouth shut, and I somehow helped a little bit.
Yeah.
And we shot the shit a
You're
little bit.
fun to look at.
Yeah. We shot the shit a little bit, but it was like, and then Jim called, you went to Westside? I'm like, yeah. And then I heard the whole volleyball player. I'm like, oh.
Wait, can we tell that whole part again? What happened, Dave?
What's that?
When
I don't think Dave. I don't know if you called me specifically.
I think
for
I called
that.
him. I said one of your friends was up here.
Yeah, he said he knew you, and you know how that goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which guy?
I can't tell you how many kids I've ran into, like who I work with, said so and so said he was spotting you on your 1,000-pound squat, and I was like,
I didn't need one.
Did he look like a volleyball player?
Yeah, but it was weird because I'm like, I've probably a half a dozen people like, yeah, this guy says he was there, used to train with you. I'm like, I don't know. Like most of the guys, like, what are they? Like, Rogeria's hanging out in London or anything like that. And but anyway, he called me, and this guy knows you, and then he couldn't. Dave, didn't remember his name. It took me a while. Said he was from I don't know, someone with a P or R.
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
It's like maybe an S or a T.
Yeah. The
No
volleyball
vowels.
player.
No
Wait a
vowels.
minute, might have been an O.
But that's what. So just killing on each other. I haven't been in a gym in forever. Like, are people nice to each other in gyms now? Like,
well,
training?
to your
can
point,
you still be mean to each other?
Well, what I was going to say, and this is
You
kind
can
of to your
scream, but you
point,
can't hear anything with the mask on.
is I've been training for close to 40 years, I believe now, if I started in 82. And I can, just thinking back, I started at Findlay Barbell Club. Then after there, I went to Toledo to school when I was at Hard Bodies, and then East River Barbell and a Gold's Gym. And that actually would have only been one gym if the group I wasn't training with didn't move to different gyms.
Yeah.
Right.
And then from there to Westside, right? And then my own place. So in the 40 years, I've actually only trained in 6 different gyms. And if you combine those 3, it's even less than that. It's like 4. So the difference, though, from then and now, if I wanted to powerlift, I had nowhere else to go.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So when I was in
see what you're
Toledo,
saying.
I had to move with my crew.
So
right.
everyone in Toledo worked at. If you're a
Yeah,
powerlifter,
so
we're
you
the
all
same.
went to that same place, right? So I had
never
to
thought about it like that.
I had to learn how to get along with people I didn't like because they were part of that crew.
Tell me about it.
And Westside was probably the epitome of that because there was even more. But if you got mad, there was really nowhere else to go. There might have been somebody's basement or something like that. So you learned how to train with the drug dealer, the cop, the teacher, the brain surgeon, and all those other people. So you learned how to coexist and get along with other people.
Yay,
Where now,
hugs.
just in Columbus, I bet there's 20 different places that you could go powerlift right now. So you have one little issue with one person, you're like, oh, fuck this place, I'm going somewhere else.
Yep.
Right? So from the social dynamic of that, I'm sure we could debate, I'm sure we'd all agree, but everybody else would debate with us, on how that kind of hurts that.
Yeah,
but I think that
absolutely,
ends up rolling over, and I haven't competed for years. I haven't even gone to a meet for years. But I'm sure that rolls over into the people in each federation now are more alike than they are different. Where back then, there were fewer federations,
2,
right?
3.
And you had this conglomerate of all these different people in there. So you went to the meet, you saw all these different types of people. And like I can't speak about the meets today, but if it's following the same pattern as the gyms do, this meet director is going to have all the same type of people. And that won't be that part.
Diversity or whatever.
Whatever you want to call it, right?
Yep.
I just called it getting along with people because you need spotters and loaders. But you learn how to respect the differences. You also learn how to, maybe I don't want to go out to the bar with this guy. You know, you kind of learn where to stay away from. You know, if you are out with them, it's like you try to ditch the people really quick.
Like my sister and I were talking about that in college. You had your friends, and then you had the people that you only wanted to see at the bar. Or whatever, and it's kind of the same thing. Like you had your training partners that were training partners. They're friends, but you never hung out outside, and that's fine. It's just the way it was. And you, like we all had a story about that. We all had a similar goal in all, like you said, all these different backgrounds, but we all shared the weightlifting, the powerlifting, the competition, and we all knew what we needed to do to accomplish that day's goal in the gym. And then we'd go our separate ways for 6 or 7 days, and we'd come back together. And then we'd all, half of us would compete on the same day. The other half would help.
Right.
And then the other half would compete the next meet and so on. And it was never discussed. It just happened. It's how it was, and everyone filled there. We didn't all like each other. Most people probably didn't like me. But they all helped me, and they all did a lot of, a lot of people really
like that.
I will say I miss the big meet. I miss going to the meets, and even all meets were big meets because there weren't that many. Now, like COVID aside, you could you look in anywhere. There's 20 different meets, and like in your own state almost every weekend. And
it's great for the sport, but they're missing what we had, especially what you had.
Which is what made it fun. Like the whole weekend was fun. Like not just the lifting. The lifting I love, but just seeing the other people you haven't seen for like it used to be like you'd have to call your friend and say, hey, how'd that lift go at the meet? Oh, it sucked. It was high. Now you're watching video, but the whole thing was more about you were more connected to everybody, which was fun because it was definitely a group of characters, and you learned like that's how I figure. Like I became a pretty good raw bencher and a pretty good equipped bencher because I found one of the best equipped benchers to bench with, and I found one of the best raw benchers to bench with.
And you had the best handoff guy.
And I had the best handoff guy ever. But I commuted 10 hours a week to train.
Hand job guy? What?
Right.
I commuted to Crawford's, 8 hours round trip on...
Jesus, he was New York. He was a bench wizard.
Technician. He's still in the game. Hellbent is in Connecticut, which is a really good gym. There's a lot of camaraderie. It's a powerlifting gym. They like gear lifting. They have raw lifters. But Mike Skiba and General run it, and they kind of try to keep that vibe, which is cool. Like I don't love gear lifting, but I tell everybody gear lifting is by far harder than raw lifting. I don't care what anybody says. I did both on a pretty decent level, and they're keeping it alive. And those people they're fun. You get around more of those characters again, but it's such a small group. But that was golden. That was the other thing, kind of golden time.
I think about back to what you're saying, what Dave was saying is when you put the gear on, because I came up as the gear came around. So to put weight on your body.
Dave got stuck in his squat suit. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
I love that.
See people get cut out of their suits.
When you put weight on your body that you can't lift.
Right.
But when you put the gear on, you're able to, there's a screw loose.
Yeah.
There's something wrong with you. All those people have a little something wrong with them. Even to put 500 pounds over your chest and bench it. That's fucking heavy. If that falls on you, it could kill you.
Pushing your Prius to the limit versus pushing like a Formula One race car.
Right.
The danger is amplified quite a bit.
Yeah. And so the mentality to get under some of the weights that we got under in training and at meets, we didn't even think about it. You're like, what's on the bar? You couldn't do the math because there was 100, there was a 110, there was a 45. That might have been a 44, but that one was chipped. So it was, and you just did it.
Add more weight. I can't
zero
get that.
regard.
Yeah,
that's right.
In the forefront of your mind,
add weight.
I can't touch
for
my
what's
shirt.
going to
Put more weight on.
happen. And
that does take a different mentality.
You guys will understand this probably more than anybody else because you know me better than than most other people. I am introverted as all hell, right? So if it was, exactly. So if it wasn't for that social dynamic or actually forcing that social dynamic on me, I looking back, I needed that because Jim's more introverted than I am now, but it's pretty freaking close. Yeah. No, actually, no, because you're coaching these people. But that
Yeah,
you see
I
what I'm saying? So if I didn't have that,
It was forced socialization. It
yeah,
was
if I
almost
didn't
like
have that, I would just go
going
in
to
the
school.
gym, and just train, and there would be nobody in my life,
Yeah.
and there really isn't now.
Yeah.
Like I said, you guys get it, but other people just
I was telling someone this, and we probably all have a certain version. I would assume we all have a certain version of this.
Little about his weird uncle.
little introspection and all that. But the only place
Talking
I
about the
really feel comfortable is in a gym.
Oh, that
It doesn't
makes
matter
me-
what gym, but like I'm very comfortable in a place like this.
I mean, look where I work.
Yeah. Or my gym at where I coach or whatever. Like it's the only thing I've ever been like good
Where
at.
you feel like you belong.
Yeah. And outside it's, and now I'm getting a little deep here and I may
No,
have to take
you're
my
right,
pills, but there's a, you have the absinthe, right, Jim?
No, it's funny. It's funny what he's saying though, because there was a time period where I needed, what do you want to say, a shrink? It was Larry,
Therapy.
Iron Smith, right? So I needed therapy, and where I met the guy was in my gym, and it was when the gym was separate from the office, and he's trying to explain exactly what you're saying to me, like look, you build these walls around you. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? He's like,
Yeah. You get a little bit older,
steel,
like, holy
look
shit,
around,
there's a wall.
and it's like, okay, I get what you're saying, but you got to understand that's still me, so we're not, how's this going to work, and kind of figuring that all out, but it's 100% true, so.
There's few places, like I go to Jim's house, I feel comfortable there. When I used to go to Vincent's house, it took a little while until we got to know each other, super comfortable in certain places around certain people. But then you get outside of here and
The guard goes back.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like I going to gyms.
Yeah.
It's the only one of the only houses I feel comfortable staying in.
Yeah,
Like,
and his wife
get
and
up,
Jim
whatever.
are so like,
Yeah.
here's coffee. Just
Usually
go.
I'm hiding in someone's bedroom until I hear people move around. Like, I'm at Casa de Muerte. I'm
Yeah,
like, you get up,
this
you move.
morning he came out and he lifted up the blanket to see if I was wearing shorts. I was.
Turtle? Was he turtle?
On his
Yeah,
head.
yeah.
Got to go back to the turtle, right?
I'm 45.
Was he dead?
I'm 45.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
barely
am I the
alive.
oldest one here? How old are you, Dave?
You tell me first.
I'm going to be 52 in July.
We're the same.
All right.
So I'm older. I'm 52.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, we got another question. I think we've answered like 3.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Probably
we're
not,
rolling.
It's
probably
actually more
not
than I
even
thought.
well.
Yeah, keep those super chats coming in.
Just keep paying for the chips.
Yep, keep paying for the chips. We'll keep talking.
I think the big thing is it goes back to what we were saying earlier. I think you only coach exercise. You only use exercises that you know how to coach. Not that you think you know how to coach, but you know how to coach, and you don't change for the sake of change until they are at a point like where Jim said, when you're not looking at them, they can do
What is
exactly
expected.
what needs to be done. And the other thing I think is obviously the gym you train them at kind of matters. Like my setup is so I can stand anywhere and see everything. Same thing in Jim's weight room.
Yeah.
But understand how to move around, understand what is worth coaching and what is just
Yeah, you gotta let some shit
like
slide.
if you're doing a bad dumbbell row, but a kid's doing a squat. Let's say you're squatting and dumbbell rowing. Don't waste time coaching the dumbbell row.
While if the squat is going on,
It's going on
yeah.
with it. Like, so if you're going to pair exercises and one is a more complicated, let's say, it's what you pair with it is not coachable. Like face pulls or pull aparts or hurdle duck unders. Like, understand how to put things together that your attention can be on one thing. As like I used to have a guy that would put in these, stand on a AirX pad with a rubber band around your knee and twist, and the kids aren't squatting even close to right, and he's spending his time coaching something that doesn't matter. Like, this kid couldn't get that concept. Does that make sense? So I think when you're doing the big groups, you got to keep it really simple so that you can explain it. If you can explain it, they have a chance of understanding it. If you're confused with your own workout, how the fuck are they going to understand it? And then how are you going to be able to watch it if you're a little confused? I'm freaking rambling right now.
So there's a couple things. One
I'm
is
back.
Communication. You have to learn how to communicate clearly and demand and that they respect you. I think that is a massive thing. I've wrote a whole article about how to get kids to buy in, and I think that is a massive part of them listening and understanding. We talk about lifting cues all the time, but you have to do the same thing with explaining the workout, what you want and what you expect out of them. And the other thing is when you're in a large group of athletes, they have to know what's expected of them, and it can't be 5,000 different things. For example, we got the kids today, I got the kids today, and today is Friday. We are trap bar deadlifting. When they trap bar deadlift, that's all they're expected to do. They're expected to just do great. Once we move on to the assistance work, we explain, the kids already kind of know what we're doing. Explain exactly what I expect out of them. I don't give them a million things to do or a million things to concentrate on. It's like we don't multitask in the weight room. I want a specific task. I want it done a very specific way. I don't confuse them with like a million different watch for this, watch for that. A big cue is, make sure your back is locked in, control on the way down. We standing strong on the way up, and we're pausing slightly. And I always say, you lift aggressive and lift like you're a man. I know that's probably not cue, but they have to. They just understand that, you can make sure you understand what you're coaching. Make sure you understand what you're doing while you're doing, so you can explain it to the kids in a very simple way. And the other thing is, it takes time to get used to coaching big groups of athletes. It's overwhelming, and the harder you could coach, especially when you're right there, especially the older kids, the more they can be an influence, and the kids can see how something's supposed to be done. So you really have to be hard on the first group of kids. And then, oh shit, where was I going with that one? And then they can also become coaches too. And not so much with technique, but with attitude and understanding how to give effort. That's always the biggest thing. And it's not downing kids, because you guys know when you first started lifting, you thought you were giving effort. And then 10 years later, like, dude, I used to think that was hard work. Like it is that. So they need to, understand that. And the final thing is have the highest, like, you have to let some things go, but your expectations of attitude and effort have to be the highest possible, so that they rise to it. Kids will rise to whatever level you expect out of them. I cannot stress that enough.
Yep.
And
even if it's ridiculous, they'll rise to it.
They will go to where you want. And that, again, I wrote this article. I'm not going to explain all of it, but when I really started looking at what I was expecting the kids, that's when everything changed for me, for my training, because I have to expect greatness. And because I lift in my garage, I do a lot of stuff outside. Kids will always go by. And so I never, if I'm tired, I fucking stand up. I never go over or feel like I am working, and I want people to understand I don't expect anything out of them that I do not expect of myself. And I'm not just talking like squatting. I'm talking about effort and just commitment and discipline and stuff. I think that's more important than people realize. And it goes to, Dave and I have talked about this ad nauseum about, do you have to be strong to coach strength? And we'll just do this another way. Do you have to be strong to be a strength coach or whatever, be an athlete to coach and all that stuff? And the answer is obviously not, because there's, Nick Saban probably wasn't the greatest football player, but Nick Saban's work ethic and how he approaches things is what is expected out of his kids. And the kids see the head honcho doing everything right. And so now it's like, well, shit, I mean, I can't complain to him that, well, you expect me to do this, but you're not doing that. So I think that goes over more than people think.
I think that's
way
huge.
more.
I think it's huge.
Way more.
And to your point, I don't think it's a matter of how strong they are. But if you're going to be coaching strength, but you're not training yourself,
right? Are you suffering?
If you're training
too?
Twice a week or something like that, like what example are you setting if you can only get in there twice a week?
Yeah.
And you're expecting that.
You're a hypocrite.
Exactly.
You're a hypocrite. And are you training for something? Like you said, do I squat 500 or 300? Who cares?
Exactly.
But am I trying to drive whatever my goal is up? Am I doing the same? Do I have progressive goals?
Consistently doing. Are you going in? So let's just throw 4 times a week out. It's just a bullshit number to put out there, right? If you don't go in 4 times a week, but then you're going to expect other people to do that, you're a fucking hypocrite.
Yeah.
Even if you hate
it. And the kids figure it out.
Exactly.
Really quick. Kids are way more in tune and intuitive. They know when you're shoveling shit. Mm-hmm. But, you know, because every now and then you get in there and you're going on about something, and I kind of catch myself. I'm like, oh fuck, they figured it out before I figured it out. They saw
Well, if
the
you're not
load of
going
shit.
in because of all your different excuses and reasons why you're not going in, then you need to accept those excuses from them when they give them to you.
That goes with something. I've watched both of them coach. You know, I've seen you coach here, and one thing that a common denominator is, and Rhodes, this is a great quote that I heard him say, is like, what is tolerated is encouraged. You guys don't tolerate anything when you're coaching.
I yelled for the third
because
time
if you let it go,
last week,
It becomes
everyone's.
But from
you're telling
working
them
with
it's okay.
kids, sometimes it's just easier to let it go. You just will take the path of least resistance. I've never seen either of you do that, because what is tolerated is encouraged, and when you have such limited time, you don't have time to play.
And the other thing too is like with Jim's kids,
The psychology of it, I think
yeah.
you guys really have the psychology, and you've worked at the psychology of it. And I think some people, and with any kind of lifting, I think people who don't take into consideration with their own lifting, or coaching a team, or coaching individuals, if you're not actively trying to get better at the psychology part of it, you're leaving a whole dynamic out that from your bag of tricks. That's always going to leave you short from a better coach.
Yeah, and well, as Jim was about ready to say here is, when you do lose your shit, which is going to be very, very rare, it's going to
It
be,
means
they're
something.
going to know. They're going to know this crossed a big line, right?
And
so go ahead.
Yeah, it's just I've yelled, and I'm not saying like yelled like here we go, you know, talking over music or something like that. But yeah, it's been 3 times, and the whole, you know, everyone starts looking at their feet, and you know, and I don't like it. It
doesn't feel good.
No, and part of me is it's a little it's not very mature, I don't think, because I let that emotion get to me, but it
was necessary.
But it also falls back on you too, because you let it get to that point.
You can't get
the problem
get that
is
point
at
across
that
quietly.
point, Dave, maybe 30 times saying the same thing in a 12-minute period. That's how I lost my shit, and it drives me nuts, because we have, you know, we had 50 kids that day, and we have the seniors and the juniors who put all their effort in and will do everything right and expect greatness, and then it's always 2 or 3 shits, you know, who try to ruin, and they're not, honestly, they're probably not trying to do it like actively, but the fact that they chose to ignore, and it's not that they couldn't squat 500. It's that they didn't do the right things and had the discipline and integrity to do what is expected. And that's driving
the lack of focus to listen. Hey, here's how we're going to do this, and then you immediately watch them do it wrong. You're like, I just fucking said this. And see, I was the other way around. When I first got back into this, I would lose my shit all the time, because
that was your default for a while.
Yeah, and so it took me a long time to realize, wait a minute, I'm going the wrong way with this. And but again, it comes back to, even with those kids, I have a lot of those kids, when I did freak out all the time, a lot of them will call me or text me or whatever, and they're like, thanks, the real world's so easy now, you know. Not because
it's a
of
crazy
me,
spectrum
but,
too. Like, just in the past 3 weeks, I've had the opportunity to work with some of the people that players for the Eagles. Meadows and I went out there, and they're very, very, very coachable people, right? You know, do this, boom, done. It's like, oh God, if everybody would be this way, forget. That's why they're in the NFL, right?
Yes.
You know, and then John also had a couple of the pro bodybuilders out. Pro figure was one, the other was pro fitness. Same type of thing. You're working with them one or two times.
They want to improve,
fixed, right? And then I had somebody out that was relatively a beginner power lifter, and it's like, oh, you know, 10, 15, and it's you realize this spectrum, right? So you guys are dealing with both people in the spectrum. They're just younger. They haven't matured, you know, to that D.
And then,
you know,
and even where I am, it's the level of, I call it convenient.
But they're mixed,
commitment.
is what I'm saying. Like, I had this opportunity where these are different individuals at different times. Right now, imagine if those people were sprinkled in with those other people, which is kind of what you guys have to deal with the large groups. You got very, very coachable ones, and other ones that take a lot of time. That's the dynamic that's got to be really hard to manipulate.
Yeah, because you can't
Welcome
coach.
to coaching.
You can't, like Jim said, you can't coach down to the lowest common denominator. Just because they suck doesn't mean everybody else. You're screwing.
It's a disservice
the kids
to the other
that are kicking ass, and then I also kind of feel the I don't know the right word. I can't leave those kids behind.
Yeah.
But I can't care more than they do. I can't care about their success more than they do, which I used to fall into that a lot. Now,
Well, that kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier, with just like basic training partners that you would have that are in the gym training with you. You're going to put as much effort into them as what they see.
and I've learned that
Yeah.
in the kids that care and the kids that I can I work more with them.
Yeah.
Is
but
it
it's not
fair?
what they
I
say
don't
though;
know.
it's what they do. We need to harp on that.
It's
right?
the do. It's the do. If you tell me
you get a
you
lot
work
of lip
hard,
language.
yeah.
Oh,
If you
yeah.
tell me you work hard,
Yeah.
well, you tell me you want to win a championship. Do you want to win a championship on July, 14th at 4:00 in the afternoon on a turf football field when it's 103 degrees out and it's 118 on the field because the turf heats up all day and we've run, 24 box drills because everybody can't do one fucking rep the right way so we can move on. You want to win a championship then? Don't tell me what you want to do. Show me. And I think back to what Jim was talking about Saban, one of the things that he has said, other people say it, but we all want to win a championship. No need to talk about it. Let's talk about the things that we need to do in order to win that championship. Don't tell me about how hard you're going to work. Talk to each other about that wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
That's unacceptable. Call each other out and be a dick about it. Like it's about the doing. When I run drills, I set them up so that I don't see everything, obviously. I see a lot of mistakes. And I wait sometimes to see if the kids will call each other out.
Yeah, that's my big thing.
And I'm like, you just watched him not run through the line. We're supposed to run through the line. Why did you not say something? Don't tell me you want to fucking win. Don't cry when we lose a game. This is how you win. If it's always coach led, you're screwed. You're not going to be very good.
Peer pressure.
Hey, Dave. Chips and
Look at that. You're like busting
it's
out
all.
veiny
It's all.
stuff.
I need to eat more. I need to
I
eat
got
more
one.
donuts.
I got
That's
one.
right.
I got one coming through.
Oh,
It's the donuts, man.
Yeah,
Actually, when you start seeing too many veins, the cheeseburgers need to go up.
all right.
We got another question here.
We
Yep.
better
Yeah.
we better have Popeyes this weekend. That's the only reason I come out to Ohio.
That's fine.
Okay, thank you.
So we're going to be shifting over to a little bit of a nutrition question.
I'm gonna go.
There's
I'm gonna go
donuts
pee.
and chips, man.
Rhodes, I knew you had to pee. So
Yeah.
With a physique like that, you should stick around.
Yeah.
Listen, man,
You give all the advice.
I got abs.
You absolutely down lighting,
So,
down lighting, down lighting.
all right. So, talking about recomping after cutting weight for a meet, what is your go-to strategy?
Dave, have you ever cut weight for a meet? I mean, no.
No.
Have you?
He did.
Yes, I'm actually gonna go to 181s. I want to hit my 7th weight class, just cause. But yeah, I've cut weight. Recomping. I mean, I don't
Are
understand.
you serious?
Yeah, I'm gonna do 180. I'm walking around at 200 right now, so I want to do a 181. I'm gonna go down to 190.
I get that, but you gonna compete?
Yeah, I'll do I'll go 9 for 9. Maybe if I pull 315 and squat like the bar. It's not about the number. It's not about the actual lift.
Oh, I'm all for it. I'll be your enabler here. I'm just trying to figure out what you want to do.
No, I'm
because
gonna
I'm
do
thinking you get one of those new bench shirts.
I did think I'm like, well, I wonder if I could do 600 in one of those bench shirts and do triple body weight. And
I bet you could.
I can't even put my feet on the ground yet, but
You learn if
What's
you
a
can
band
learn.
Is it like a
so
slingshot?
It's
kind of
like
thing?
a slingshot shirt. These shirts are obscene. They're awesome. I mean, the sleeve is like this big. It has nothing to do with the compression. It's all like banded resistance material.
Wow.
There's still a learning curve, just like
Oh.
anything else, right? But
I think I have a head start on the learning curve.
You do. Anyhow, so what we were talking about nutrition.
So, as
Recomp.
recomp, like I've never recomping is that always sounds like a bodybuilding term to me. Recomping, like trying to get in better shape at the same weight. If you are a novice,
and now, is he talking after weigh-ins before
Yeah,
the
he's
meet?
talking specifically after weight.
Oh, so I can speak very highly on this. I've had a number of scenarios. I've done it from very scientifically, from like having the right dextrose or the perfect carb supplement, and then the best I've ever done is around at the Around the Clock Diner, the TikTok Diner.
Oh, yeah.
I went from 242. I cut, I think like 20. I think it was 265. So I cut 23 pounds. I weighed in at after my cut
271.
271. And this was not scientific. This was we sat at the diner and ate and drank. And I drank Diet Cokes because I don't like regular soda. I've never drank regular soda. It's not about the sugar. It's just about the sheer volume of fluids. I think the biggest mistake people make is they make themselves sick. You have to start slow, and you have to start with fluids. That first hour is fluids, and it's like with anything, you pace yourself. You need what a gallon of fluids is 8 pounds.
Yeah, you need fluids, you need sodium.
You need fluids. So if you're eating garbage, you're getting sodium. And plus if you're eating foods that your body's adjusted to, like I'm not saying go run out and eat McDonald's and pizza. If you don't run out and eat McDonald's and pizza, you'll be sick.
Yeah.
But I was eating that food. But then I've done it the way with the maltodextrin or glyco plus.
Remember that waxy maze?
All that kind of stuff. And you know what? That's no fun. And the results weren't as good. It's like kind of what you could tolerate, but to do it slowly and methodically. To anybody Rhodes knows me, I'm devoted to the process. So I'll have a timer set, and I'm like, all right, every 15 minutes I'm going to drink 4 ounces of fluids. At the hour I'm going to eat like this, and I just sit and eat. And so if you're methodical about it, you can find a million different ways to put the weight back on. But I've never found one way better than the other. But eating what I wanted to and drinking what I wanted to, things I tolerated was much more pleasurable. And I had, it was great results. And I put on the most weight I'd ever put on. Because at a certain point, if you're doing it with rice, unless you love rice, and I can't drink, Pediasure, whatever I can't drink it. If you told me I had to drink a gallon of that, I wouldn't gain 8 pounds because I can't stand it. Yeah. So it's like adherence, kind of also like we talk about diets. If you can adhere to it, whatever you're going to do to gain that weight back, make sure there's a little bit of science behind it. Like we talk about training, anything that has a little bit of science behind it, if you follow it and you adhere to it, it's going to work.
And that last bit, adhere to it. What can you tolerate? That's general dieting and nutrition.
And it's hard.
Yeah, if you don't like rice and boiled chicken, pick something else that's similar.
Yeah. But I was busting at the seams. Like I was sick. Right. I will push through. And everything in this sport is extreme. Like it's an extreme sport if you want to take it to that level. I mean, you want extreme results, you got to go through extreme measures.
There's very little balance outside of the few things that are necessary.
If you want to be really good. And that's at anything.
Yeah.
Overall, though, fluids first.
Yes.
If the IV route's in there, it's IVs first with fluids.
Was that the IV
fluids,
day?
Then
that was the IV day. So
But IV is just it's fluids, right?
Fluid,
it's just faster fluids, so it's easier fluids too. So fluids than food.
Yeah.
But I've also done that. I've also done it without IV. Like you can do just the fluids. It's if it's available, it's nice, it's quick, it's easy. As long as you have someone somewhat trained to do it.
Well, there's now businesses that do this shit,
which is really nice because I had I think it was a non-medic who he
was an EMT, right?
The only vein he could find, like from Afghanistan, the only vein he could find was in my hand in the no-tell motel, and it went squirting across the room because he didn't hit it right.
That looked like a femoral artery.
And then Jess tapped out. Jess is like, all right, this has gone too far. She tapped out. She walked out. We walked in the hotel room. It looked like a flop house. It looked like a heroin room.
I got to write this down because I remember one time there was somebody getting the IV in a hotel room, right? That person was
just
talking.
so you know, we were carrying it. That Rhodes was holding it as I'm walking down the stairs. Yeah. And we hung it from my the moonroof.
Those shit handles.
Yeah. So the person giving him the IV never did it before, right?
We think he did.
We got person A getting the IV. Story. Yeah, this other person here is giving him. This person here is on the phone with somebody who is in bed with their wife, right? So this person calls this person who's asking the wife that's telling this person how to put it in there. It was blood everywhere.
That's powerless.
That's what is the whole point of this? Just jam it in there and go.
But that was the
drink
fun,
a Gatorade.
That's what. So all the seminars and everything we've ever done, in as much as training, this is the stuff people will message me about. I love that story. I love when you guys get together because this is the stuff they all missed out on. You don't hear this stuff anymore.
I know this is good though.
No, it's not good, but it's you always. It's the story. I'm sure.
It's the experience.
I'm sure
it's so common that we forget it until we start talking.
I'm sure if you sat around a bunch of athletes in any other sport, the fun stuff, they're not talking about the game.
No,
they're talking
the locker rooms, it's the drinking, it's the practicing the day after a bender.
Right. It's that kind of stuff. And that's the kind of stuff that people crack up about. That
trying to figure out how many of you are brothers.
Oh my God. We got another one?
Yeah, another one came in wondering how much money, Vincent, it would take for you to get back to 300 pounds.
There's no amount of money.
$50 million is someone offering.
I'm about a couple years from retirement. My whole reason to be in shape.
$50 million.
is so I can ski the Alps. I want to go surfing in Costa Rica. I've done everything I've done. That's why, and Dave gave me some of the best advice ever. He looked at me and I said, I was like, I saw Ted. And Ted was looking huge. And I wish Ted had social media because I just love to follow Ted. 'Cause Ted just, it's something about Ted that and I'm like,
he doesn't have social media.
and I just want to gain, I'm like, I just want to gain 20 pounds. I just want to, and Dave's like, don't do it. Because you know how hard it is to lose it. So for me, for Matt and for Jim, it's like, I'm just going to eat a meal less. For me, it's a struggle. Like, it's a heroin addict. Like, you know,
Yeah, he is a walking eating disorder. It's awesome.
I don't think if you
awesome.
did start getting super heavy, I think there's enough of us that would probably
Yeah,
jump
be like,
in
dude,
at a certain
no,
point and
don't
say,
do this.
Yeah, but there's a couple more be like, keep going. And those are the ones I'd listen to. I'd be like, listen, they told me not to. Like, keep going, you're fine.
Yeah.
That guy in Ottawa, he knows what's right.
Yeah, you don't hear from Vincent for 6 months. He's, you know.
There's
I mean,
not a lot.
I can go as far as say taking it off is actually probably the easiest part. Keeping it off is the hardest.
Oh, okay. Keeping it off has been really
You've been very
convenient.
patient.
Like, I'm down 130
methodical,
pounds and I've kept it off.
Yeah.
But I am methodical. But
how you do it is extreme, but the process that you followed wasn't. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You didn't lose 20 pounds in a month.
No, I lost a pound,
was
a
a chip
pound a
away,
month
and
for 12 years.
So the method is insane.
Right.
It's not something I can function, but it's you.
Yeah.
And so it's hard for you to keep it off because it's like Bill Burr said, I'm just asking you not to do something, lose weight.
Right. But sounding like an
Because
alcoholic not to drink.
Right, but for you, you want
to hear a great
genuinely
joke I heard
love food.
Alcoholic said.
But quick question though.
Yeah.
How long do you think it would take me to get up to 300 pounds?
Not long. 6, 7, 8 weeks.
Oh God,
I'd
take
take 3
longer
months.
than that.
I could definitely do it in a 6-month period though.
I heard
6 months, yeah.
an
totally.
alcoholic say, you mean you can just have one beer and call it a night? Because I would do that all the time. I was like, well,
Yeah, there you go.
It was a great joke.
And people laugh, and I do say, like, you know, I do clearly have a eating disorder and some issues going on, but it's like, when you talk about it enough, you're consumed by it. But the one thing is, like, you know, with an alcoholic and with, you know, my brother struggled
to fight their
right, but I have to eat.
Yeah.
You know,
I know what you're
when
saying.
you're an alcoholic or drug addict, you stop. So, and I know it sounds trivial compared to those things, but a lot of people die from being obese. My brother died as a result of being obese. Yeah. So, like, to me, this is heavy, hard hitting shit.
Yeah.
So I really do, and everybody I've been able to help, I'm happy. I reach out, help people, and if you know, and those can gravitate and get it. And my method's not the same. But
there's a lot to be gleaned from your method.
I like that word.
Yeah, so I don't know how that came to me.
How you
I'm
looked
not that smart.
It's how he looked this morning laying in bed when the sun was coming off him. He was gleaning.
You know, we were talking about the turtle in the bathroom, right? Something that he brought up, right? We didn't think of the squat suit turtle.
The canvas.
So you got your squat suit on.
When
it's
you were all
sweaty,
stuck?
and you came and add the ephedrine. So you got the ephedrine pee, and then the squat suit turtle.
I remember it was a big deal. Are you ready to put the suit on? Did you take a piss?
Yeah.
I'm sure.
I'm going to go again, just to be sure.
Well, 45 minutes later, because it was, 13
The
feet away.
ephedrine makes you feel like you need to pee when you don't.
Have you seen some of the suits now? They have they're like put together with string on the side. They're like corsets.
Mm-hmm. Oh, no shit.
Yeah, so they're easy to get.
Cheaters. They're cheaters. There's you earn. It's like I tell.
Don't be that old guy.
When we
You're
used to
yes,
drink,
that's awesome. Whoever came up with that's a genius.
When we used to drink, like nothing tasted good. You earned the buzz. Now it's like coffee. You should earn the benefits of coffee. It should suffer a little bit. It's like going to church. If you're going to go to church and you're going to get everything
I want
God
to be bored out of my fucking mind.
promises you,
Then I'll be saved.
Wear a fucking suit and tie.
Rhodes wishes
For
that's
everything
all
you're
that
gonna get
happened
out,
at
so you have
church,
to
being
earn-
bored.
You have to earn the right. You know what I'm saying?
You drink White Claw. I know you do.
No.
You do. I can see it. I
No.
can tell.
But like again, it's the advances in this. It's like the gloves in football nowadays.
Oh, my Lord.
I would have been in the
I
NFL
bought
with
a pair
those
of
gloves.
With that football
No
glove?
doubt.
Because
I
Mason
would've
was
been.
out, and we were just I'm like, fuck it.
Unbelievable.
We went to Dick's, and I got some gloves. I just catching balls.
It's unbelievable. Now those guys that do it in games, it's amazing. I'm not taking away from them.
But
I'm not.
it is
but it's
definitely
it
an
helps.
advantage.
You get the guy. Who was the guy?
Jerry Rice would have done well with some of those gloves.
He'd have been all
Did you
right.
ever wear those old Newmans? They suck.
Yeah, horrible.
I don't know why they even wore those.
And now the sweatier you get, the stickier the gloves get. Back in the day,
Dave, I'm telling you, just reach up.
They would get a little
catch
sticky.
the point of the ball. And
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's
They
unbelievable.
would get a little sticky, and then at a certain point, you may as well put WD-40 on them. Like when you really started to sweat.
The problem with gloves, though, is I would assume most of those guys probably go through at least 2 pairs a game. They do eventually lose their.
Gee, I hope they can afford it.
Yeah, I know.
Yep.
It's funny, the guys that can afford it don't have to pay for it.
Exactly.
And then Michael Jordan getting a free meal. It's like, come on, dude.
That's always how it goes, though.
Yep.
So this question was about like food, right? And it ended up with White Claws and church.
Mike Jordan.
And gloves.
And gloves. So what we got
We
now?
answered it.
Yeah.
Kind of a follow up to that question
Jesus.
Which part?
Wake me up.
is at what point do you think cutting weight to compete in powerlifting is worth it?
You should be competing for a long time and actually have something that, not like the single rap, one-legged deadlift in the Triple X Federation for that record. Like, if you're chasing something good, it's worth cutting weight. Too many guys cut weight for meets. I think cut weight for the first 15 years of competing.
You've got to have something
Get stronger.
Cut. You've got to have something to cut.
Yeah, get stronger. Like, if there's money on the line and you think you need to get into that weight class, but I think cutting for me became the way I lost weight. So I'm like, I'm not trying to lose weight. I'm just trying to get to the next weight class. So to get to 308, I was like, all right, I got down to 318. To get to 275, I got down to 290. So weight classes, I tell people, like, if you want to lose weight, get involved in powerlifting. Yeah, get involved in powerlifting, because it's weight class. It's not so formidable. It's like, if anybody ever said, listen, you're going to go from 330 down to 200, I'd be like, you're out of your mind. I'm never going to start. That's horrifying.
But it's like, if you're doing it for meat, like if you're a 215 pound,
compete at 220.
Compete at 242. Like, you can gain some weight in a week.
Green
Don't worry
this.
about it until you are at such a level that it actually matters.
Dan Green talked about
mass moves mass.
On one of your on one of your table talks. He talked about how he was holding himself back competing at 220 for so long.
Mm-hmm.
Dan Green.
The other thing
Brian
is
Schwab did that. A lot of people did that.
Yeah.
They just keep fighting, and then they go up a class, and I guess they earn the class. You know,
Right.
if you want to think about it that way.
Yeah, I think it's for most people, it's one less thing you have to worry about.
Yeah.
That's
It's stress.
huge.
It's stress.
Yeah.
Because most people, the amount of things I see people do prior to a meet to get, to
Right.
peak are the worst things that you're better off just not training that week, or just not knowing you had a meet and you just whatever. And then, holy shit, is that bad? And the other thing, I just thought about this. I remember where I was when I heard my buddy Kevin told me, Deweese, we were at Kentucky when Halbert benched 683 at 198. That was so far higher than anything ever happened. I remember hearing the news and I was like, how is that fucking possible? And that was at the Arnold, right?
I think so.
Holy.
Yeah, if you're going to do something cool like that, that people are going to stop.
That's the first time I was like, because he competed at 275, not right? And then he went down to 240, 220. But I remember when I heard that, I was like, well, that's cutting weight. That's when because I know he didn't weigh 198 for long.
No.
But still, that is an insane bench.
Like, he didn't weigh 242 for long.
No.
That day, that certain particular meat,
But
so the bottom line is you better have a good reason for it.
Yeah, otherwise.
And don't sabotage your meet. And it's almost self-sabotage. I think it's sometimes, I always joke with the kids, before you go to any powerlifting meet, I always talk about your hamstring. Mm-hmm. So you got to weigh out.
You
always grab that hamstring on your last squat. Like, I don't know if deadlift's going to go right.
Yeah.
So a couple years ago, I will say, and I'm someone who can get in my own head, when I did a meet at 220, and this after I had done him one at 198, because I think I was walking around right around 220. The one thing I will say about cutting weight is it takes you out of your head about lifting. You start thinking about the cut, and if you're in a good enough place with your lifting where you're not freaking out about the actual lifting, you're focusing on the cut, so you're not getting anxious about the lifting. So that was like a possible benefit. Like if someone gets really anxious.
It takes your focus away.
Let me ask you this, though. Because I work with wrestlers, and this always makes sense or makes me laugh. It's like if you knew you had to perform, what did they wrestle, 4 or 5 times in maybe a day? Maybe 3 or 4.
In a match, yeah.
If you wanted
or a tournament.
If you wanted to go kick ass, physically kick ass, you wouldn't starve yourself for 2 weeks.
Right.
And the thing with lifting is, if you're not that good, don't don't handicap yourself anymore. And
just
and you say it takes your head out of lifting, which might be good for most people.
Some people,
very few people.
And that's why.
But you were
that's
also,
a disclaimer.
Yeah.
You were also.
I was lifting for
a
fun.
different point in your lifting career. And like you said, you get into your own head. I remember that meet. I can't remember what you were lifting raw.
That was my first 600 bench.
When you were sitting on the bench, getting in your own head.
Yeah.
Talking yourself into
in a good way, yeah.
And I walked over to him and I was like,
"You're a good coach."
I was like, I'm just not going to say anything.
Everything that could have gone wrong for that warm up for that meet. That was when I was going for 600.
You can talk yourself out of it.
Right.
In that instance, you absolutely talked yourself into it,
But
which was always impressive.
I want to give Rhodes credit for being like a really good coach. Could always talk me off the ledge. Always help me out in any situation. I had my tantrums. He's seen all kinds of great stuff out of me at meets. So I think it was probably my third meet going after 600, and we were warming up, and the bench was too high, and I wasn't able to touch the ground. I was fat, and everything was a mess. And I'm like, this is a recipe for disaster. And I just started using self-affirmations because sports psychology, I'm a big fan of sports psychology. I think it's so untapped with lifters. And Rhodes told me later, he came over to talk to me because he knew everything was going wrong. And he saw me, just my lips were moving, my eyes were closed, I'm just talking to myself. I was saying ring dings, but I was actually...
most definitely.
I had some kind of mantra, and I hit 600 that day. But he, to his credit, like he didn't get my way. Like 9 times out of 10... he would have had to say something to talk me off the ledge. And that was really, being a good coach. And as much as I break your balls, you're a really good coach. And I think that's where, again, coaches also need to learn. You need to...
Sometimes shut the fuck up.
Yeah, it's
Stay
time
out of the way.
and place. Time
well,
and place.
We got to keep in mind perspective, too, because most of the people that I've met that actually powerlift, they're not at that point, right? So we got to always keep in mind that, people that are asking, they probably don't even know what you're talking about.
Right.
Where we were addicted, obsessed to the point of the most important thing for a long period of time. So if a workout was bad, you're pissed about it.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, really
legitimately
mad about
it bothered your night or your next
day.
day.
To be honest with you, that still bothers me now. If something doesn't go right in the gym, it still bothers me to a point.
You mean not everybody's like that?
Yeah. No, right?
Oh,
so,
terrible.
For a lot of these people, maybe it's more about they need to get it more in their head more. Yeah. Which would force them to maybe train when they don't want to train, and the things that we were talking about earlier. So there's, again, that spectrum. What else you got?
Got a question coming in about deadlifts.
Oh, God.
I'm out.
Use a trap bar.
I'm out.
It
with
looks
straps.
like they're trying to determine if they should deadlift more as they're getting better at it, more than once or twice a week, or stick to once a week.
I'll answer that really quick. If they're getting better at it, just keep doing what you're doing. That's a.
It's working. I'm gonna do something different.
Don't take this the wrong way, but that's a stupid question.
Yeah.
It's a better question if you said, I'm not getting better at it.
Right.
Yeah. What do I do
What
next?
should I do next?
Yeah.
So that's an easy
The
one.
example I always use is like for the kid who deadlifted, heaviest deadlift was 290 for 5, and then deadlifted on a PR set 365 for 6. The first thing all those kids do is say, "Oh my God, can you raise my weights?"
Why?
I'm like, "What'd you just do, though?" He's like, "Well, you didn't see?" I'm like, "I saw, but what did you do? Remind me what you did." I'm like, "So I have given you the path where you need to be," and I always liken it to if every day you went over to the gas station on the corner and bought a lottery ticket and won, would you go to another gas station? No, because now I've given you a good path here, so just relax. The other thing is in a kind of a but if you're built to deadlift, who is it, Vincent? He can deadlift more frequently, and the less built you are to deadlift, probably the less you can do it and get away, and that's where the assistance work really comes in. So, but again, if you're making, like, I get that all the time, like, hey, my bench went from blah blah blah. I'm like, dude, you're doing good.
Keep going.
Just pound that fucking.
Not always, but it's. I went up. Can we reset my number? Yeah. I'm going to add the 5 pounds that we're supposed to add the next cycle. Why would I? It's working. Why would I change it?
Sometimes
why do you
lowering
want
the
to do
number will
more?
produce a higher outcome.
Yeah. Why do you want to work?
Oh my God!
But
Yes.
The kids.
Don't tell that though.
I know the kids they think the number matters.
Yeah, I know.
It's like when you make 15 tackles, whatever sport you play, nobody cares how much you squat. It's important that you did it to get to that point to have those,
But you're thinking as a coach, this guy's thinking as a deadlifter.
Right, but even
the
as
analogy
a lifter, I think it's don't worry so much about the number. If you just You use
Keep
the
making
phrase
progress.
accumulate the work.
Well, here's the thing: is the
eventually
number.
it just happens. It's a natural
you accumulate
progression
the work.
of.
Well, that's one thing I say, and I missed before. I want to say I did block periodization once for a meet, and my meet did not go well. And I was like, oh, what a waste of time that was. I'm like, no, work is never wasted. Work is never
It's
wasted.
just that particular cycle.
Whatever.
You didn't show.
Yeah,
You weren't
just
able
keep
to show as
accumulating
well.
work. Yeah.
See, I would question if they're really worried about the number, like the end number, or if they're more worried about the training, right? So
Okay.
when I was training at first came to Westside, we used to bench out at this shed, this Tim Van Horn shed. Long story short, we had 3 different benches. Is speed work out there. So I was on the strongest bench, and we would use anywhere from.
Do you hear that one?
Bragger.
Just saying.
Just
It's-
in case.
just saying. But it is kind of relevant because.
So I was buying these magnums. Anyway,
So our speed weight was between 315 and 405, depending upon the person's. I think it was like 70% or something like that. Tim Van Horn gets hurt, so he stops using 315, has to use 275. Goes to the next meet, broke his record by 45 pounds. Every one of us that was using 405 went to 365. Everybody with 365 went to 315. Everybody that was using 315 went to 275. We all broke.
That
Is
an
it the
awesome
weight?
story.
That
the
is a
result.
really good story.
This is a
Yeah.
factual,
Yeah.
honest. Is if you look through old Powerlifting USA, Louis wrote about it.
Yep.
And you know how long it took us to drop that weight? He competed on Saturday. We
Sunday.
dropped that shit on Sunday. Yeah. Because we wanted the bench and the meet. It didn't matter if we had 4 plates rattling on our speed work in the gym.
Right.
Yes,
What's
it's
the end
cool. It's
result?
nice. But
Yeah.
I wanted that end result. Plus, it's like, holy shit, now he's getting closer to me. And
Yep.
it's that competitive thing.
That first 600, you helped me with some of my dynamic work, and I remember Rhodes, or maybe that was a second. Maybe that was my 600 at 275 or 308. But I had brought I called Rhodes at I was up all night. I figured out my program, very excited about it. We talked about it, but I had brought my speed work down to 185. I was 585 bencher, and I brought my speed work because my speed work was awful because I just started falling in love with heavier weights.
Yeah.
Like if I do more weight on dynamic day, I'm going to be stronger, and it wasn't the case. And by the end of that cycle, I had multiple bands in 365, and I mean that's when I hit 600.
Crazy. Sub-maximal weights actually do something.
Some maximum weights with pushing the bar fast.
I have
What is
seen
it? Compensatory
more
acceleration.
insane.
Ooh.
Like I told this story. Mason, my son, I trained him all through the pandemic via Zoom. The heaviest bench his heaviest training max was 170 on the bench. He gets to high school, they test 235 bench.
Never touched it before then.
No, didn't even touch. He didn't even put 185 on the bar. And I'll tell you this: for I obviously I love my son to death, but he liked lifting because it was for football, and he get to hang out with me 3 times a week, and we just bullshit. It's just Dad, what I need to put on the bar,
It's
like 10 and a 5 and a 2.5.
When
All
you
right.
look at 170 to 230, that's a 40% increase. Too.
It's
People
good.
just they'll hear 230, yeah, but it's a 40% increase.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
And I'm not down in Mason at all. And he's never going to watch this because I'm his dad. He doesn't fucking care about me like that. He's just a dipshit.
He's on the mark.
He worked hard, but it wasn't like we work.
Yeah.
He didn't.
Right.
He
Did just enough,
Yeah.
well enough.
Which is probably why they'll make better progress.
Yes, of course it is. We had a kid on the team who
We
was
would
just built to lift.
set ourselves back so often.
His quads were like 35 inches around. 5'8", 205, just a gigantic.
just that kid, the stud.
And I was like, you know what? He's a kid to do exactly what you tell him, no more, no less. And he didn't have a bad attitude. That's just the way he was. He didn't have a single hard workout for 4 years. And he ended up he was like, at the end, he was I think he was 5'7" or 5'8", 210 running back. His thighs were so fucking strong and big, it was obnoxious. And he just like, what do I need to put on the bar? All right, 355. Okay. What's next, coach? And it's not telling you not to, like I said, you don't phone it in, but sometimes you don't have to Instagram lift all the time.
Yeah.
yeah.
Let's take a couple more. How's the nacho fun?
We're still rolling.
Okay.
It's still going. What advice do you have for young coaches that want to get better? What sort of resources would you say for them to check out?
Well, I'll say just
pretend. Well, you go ahead.
some of
Rhodes.
the things that I
had nothing.
I spoke in one of our strength and conditioning classes, exercise science or something like that,
Something like
45 minutes.
Professor Rhodes.
45 minutes.
I'll tell you what, so far this is the best advice I've heard.
45 minutes before the class, I started preparing my little deal, and I just thought about all the areas that
Everybody settle in for the story.
we touch. Go fuck yourself.
He gets so mad at me.
Go have
Finally.
a leaf of lettuce.
I finally got him mad at me. It's taken almost 24 hours.
But
lettuce.
it's like obviously the strength training and all that, but then you've got some yoga, some stretching.
What the hell? Where did this just went sideways? It went from lettuce. Like what's?
No, he's going to swear at you
Is he
next.
going to get to the point here?
Don't
or
swear
not?
at Dave.
all the different areas that it touches.
I get it.
Teaching, right? So to me, when I suck at a certain area, that's what I go look at. Very rarely do I read training stuff to learn something new. I reread old books. But it's like Jim was talking about communication and how he's gone to explaining to his kids, like,
That's Dave. Dave, I remember we were where we were, and we were fucking tired and spaced out, and Dave said to me, there's two, I always remember, it's two things. I'll say one. One, he's like, you know what's more important than all this shit is communicating. Without this. And number two, we had just dropped off Louis at his house. And we're coming back from we were fucking exhausted. We had driven all day. And Dave just turns to me and he says, you know, Jim, weightlifting is just GPP for football. And I'm like,
yeah.
Yeah.
and we just kept on driving.
Yeah.
But it was like probably 6 hours of sitting in the car, turning all this shit over, and and then it just came down to one sentence. I was like,
Yeah.
you're welcome. Anyway.
But
I
it's
love
just, it's learn how to communicate. If you're uncomfortable in front of groups, learn about public speaking, learn about how to stand, the power positions and all that stuff. And if you're not good at explaining things, learn how to
Superman
explain, learn how to explain what you want them to do. I always say as a head coach, it's 10% sets and reps, 90% all the other bullshit.
With the communication, it's.
Yeah.
I would just want to, dip my hand in there and say it's a two-way street. You need to be able to communicate what you want, but you need to be able to read how that's being received.
Correct.
From the athletes,
Correct.
right? You got to know. You got to master nonverbal communication.
Question. Do you guys have for coaching, do you guys have weightlifting? Are there weightlifting competitions for the high schools?
If I'm sure there are around here, I think it's horrible.
They started that, and they would have
I shouldn't say that. I would never. I
They
think
would-
it's fine if kids want to do it, but I wouldn't do it.
because they were having me go over to the high school like some of the times
Yeah.
helping out with the coaches, and they're like, we have this weightlifting competition. I'm like, this is the dumbest thing you guys could. I don't know what you're a football coach and your football team, and telling the boys, the hardest thing is telling the boys, this is completely, how much you do right here is almost irrelevant to your performance. Like
Yeah, they don't understand
You're not in a
that-
weightlifting competition. You are lifting to become a better football player. If you can squat 135 and get the results you need instead of
That's what I always tell them.
Instead of
if we
putting
do 3 sets of 3 at 135, and you guys are better, I fucking do it in a heartbeat.
you're not powerlifting. That is one of the things that I can't, like, working with younger athletes, I can't
Well, I get it with our
imagine.
kids too. Is
Like,
they
it's
think the weight room
GPP, like if any,
Yeah.
but the problem is they don't know what GPP is.
Yeah,
But if
yeah.
Westside.
Westside,
But it's like the example I gave
Speed,
before.
strength, or
If you get
strength,
15 tackles in a game, nobody cares. No one's going, oh, that kid must squat 400 pounds. It's like, well, shit, a kid got 15 tackles. Why? Well, we worked on triple extension in some capacity. We ran.
you did your GPP.
We suffered. We built some muscle so his body could withstand the beating of a football game and season and practice. And it's such a the end result of lifting for sport is it's like so like vague.
Yeah,
Did we win because we lifted so well?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like
Well, you
it's
guys
hard
have
to
a
judge.
different communication angle though too, because you're training a team.
Yeah.
Not individuals, right? They are individuals, yes, but you need to train the kid to have the kid's back when they need to have the back, right? That's different from the communication standpoint because you can't alien. That's the only, because I like the powerlifting. That's my bias. That's the only thing I don't like about these weightlifting competitions, because now you're taking this team unit and kind of breaking it into an individual sport, which can have its pros and its cons. I get that, but you work too hard. I would say the best team at the end of the season is the one that plays the best together, because all the other factors are going to kind of even out. In high school, maybe it's different.
And the team that's the best conditioned.
Well, they still, even if they're
lasts
the
a
best
while.
conditioned and they're strongest and they hate each other and they can't pull their shit together when they need to, they're going to get beat. Right? And
You
that's
see
a
that all the
huge
time.
aspect.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
The only answer I would really say is, if you want to, besides like learning the X's and O's and stuff like that, is the only way to get good at coaching is
Coach.
coaching. And
Yeah.
I can't tell you for a long time, we only had one car, so Juliet would pick me up sometimes when I didn't walk, and I'd get in the car and be like, I am the worst fucking coach.
Yeah, I've had those. I've
horrible.
had those rides home.
And she's like, what's the matter? I'm like, I can't get this done. I don't feel like anyone's listening to me, whatever. And then some days I'm like, probably king coach right now.
Yeah.
What is it like to be married to me?
Yeah.
And so there's going to be some ups and downs.
Coaching's a lot
But the other thing, I'm sorry, is don't bite off more than you can chew. And as an example, when I first started taking over, I had the freshmen, the JV, so to speak, and they didn't know exactly what was going on. I was still getting my feet underneath it. We did dumbbell squats for a set. We put the dumbbell down. Then we did push-ups, and that's all we did because I could control. They're all in a big circle, and I just watched them. And now, obviously, physically, they weren't maybe ready to do a lot of the stuff, but now this limited my my distractions. It kept things very simple, so it was in a controllable situation. And magically, after 6 weeks, it was awesome because kids were excited, and then kids hated it, and then it became a source of pride. That's all we do. And
that also keeps them so they're not standing around.
Yes, that was
idle kids are a nightmare.
Oh my God.
Yes.
There's no one more destructive in the history of any weight room than a 13-year-old who can bench 65 for 2.
Yeah.
Every bar, like I always laugh because you might have a squat bar here, probably went through 15 years and God knows how many heavy squats, fucking perfect condition. You put that in a unsupervised weight room, that thing is bent.
Yeah.
Bent.
Yeah. I would say there's a lot.
Iron Wolf bar.
There's a lot of
one day.
A lot of days in coaching.
It's horrible.
It's Vincent's food analogy. There's a lot of 10s and a lot of 0s. You don't have like today was a 6, because if it's not a 10, if you don't feel like you're king coach, the greatest thing ever, you think you suck. And if you don't think that way, you're gonna suck.
Yeah, you probably shouldn't be coaching.
Because if it's not a 10, then you probably are a big reason why it wasn't a 10 in some capacity. At some point, the kids have to take responsibility, but so there's a lot of those days you go home and you're like, why am I not getting paid more? How come these people don't understand who I am? And then the next day you're driving home and you're like, whoa, I suck. I'm getting fired. They don't even know, but I'm going to get fired. Like it's
fired
like,
myself.
Yeah, it's like you have those days, and you got to be able to deal with that. And I think you got to look at yourself. It's always your fault most of the time, because you can control something to influence them. If I notice this, if I would come in a bad mood because something hurt, the way I would explain, like we have a board like this on the wall, and hey, we got this today, and we got that. Here's how I want this, and if I didn't do that a certain way, they would take on my mood.
Yep.
I'm like, why come you guys aren't excited? And a couple months, I'm like, oh, it's because I could notice depending on how I was.
There's a lot more psychology to it.
I remember
people.
I had just gotten done training, this was a couple weeks ago, and I was fucking tired. I had already done 2 workouts before I went up, and I was like, you guys tired today? Like, no, we're fine. I was like, oh, wow. I wish you know who is tired?
Yeah.
Me.
This guy.
Yeah. I'll bring it down to just, working with lifters, just from that, because it's a different conversation, that the best thing somebody could do to directly answer the question is to get around people that work with the best lifters in a way that they're going to let you be around them. Because you can download all the books that you want, you can read all the books you want, you can join all the fucking member sites you want. None of those are going to teach you how to do shit.
It's the science of coaching versus the art.
They'll give you the
art.
exactly.
The art is what actually matters.
Big
the
time.
Science doesn't matter that much as long as you're in a ballpark.
Yes.
It's the art of understanding
Alchemy or chemistry.
And the reason why I'm saying you need to be around them, because a lot of times the great coaches, they can't sit down at a table with
And explain
you
it.
and answer the question like you just said.
Yeah.
It's an art.
You got to watch, observe, and see.
I've been reading some Charlie Francis stuff lately, and a lot of the people that talked about him were like, he just knew.
You had to be around him.
Yeah, he just knew, and I loved one of the things he said. He goes, if it looks good, it'll fly. And it's like, there's no science in that. It's like, that's what it's supposed to look
just
like.
because you know the X's and O's,
you did it right.
Doesn't mean you can. Mean you can explain them.
And
doesn't mean
and that's you have to. It's like
teaching
Jim said,
anything is an art.
You have to do
Teaching anything.
And you have
is
to
an
make a
art.
lot of mistakes and then be willing to look at yourself and go, wow, that sucked today.
Well, it's just
I suck
yeah. I
today.
mean, with X's and O's, how many plays are there in offensive football?
Yeah.
How many?
Not many.
It's just well, no. I mean, how many? The thousands?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, how many plays have been drawn up X's
Oh,
and O's?
yeah,
on
Well,
board?
it ends up being there's like 13 plays run out of 55,000 different
Right,
formations.
right.
There's
Now you
really-
get around a coach that really knows what they're doing. They're going to break that down into here's the 3 that really need to be mastered at this high school level. Now, how do you master
At the collegiate
it?
Run every play.
Yeah.
It has to be mastered. Right? You can know all the fucking plays.
There was,
But can they execute?
They have to execute.
Do you have the people that can
I'll
execute
listen.
what you want to do? And it's the art of just being, yeah, this is what I want, but it's
Well, then there's the reaction too. As soon as the ball's hiked, what happens? People get involved. Whenever people are involved, things get screwy, messy, and change
11 on
a
both
lot.
sides, in football at least.
Yes, and that's where the art comes in, is how to pivot when the people are involved.
Yeah, and you
anything looks great on paper.
Yeah, it's having. I don't know if we ever talked about this, but it's having. You have to have a massive ego to be a coach, I think, because you got to get a bunch of people to
believe
believe
in
what
you.
you want. Then you, at the same time, you also have to have massive humility to go, you know, this isn't good enough, or that wasn't a good day, or this worked really well, but I know I can make it a little bit better, or I've got to go about this differently instead of just being like, I'm the best. There's that, you know, like the angel and the devil kind of thing. Like
You can also just be a perfectionist. You know, there's some guys who are really good at stuff that have zero humility.
well, but what I'm saying is humility in
Helps.
in that you have the ability to look at yourself and
Be
say,
introspective.
I'm not good at this. This or this didn't go well.
I don't know what that means.
Everybody writes a program.
must be tough, Rhodes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how you bear that cross the way you do. We're all sitting here looking at each other.
I
going,
can't believe you haven't killed yourself.
It takes too much
You
work.
too. You too.
Too much work. But like everybody writes a program and you expect it to work well. I've never heard a coach, I'm sure it's happened, but I've never really heard a coach say, yeah, that program sucked. I screwed up. Every program that's ever been written is awesome. It's not. And can you look at that and go, ugh, that didn't work out the way I wanted it to, and then make your adjustments? Because you never write a program going, this is going to suck. I can't wait for this to suck. You always want it to be good, but can you sit there and go, here's where I screwed up. Here's where I need to make my difference, and then apply that.
Yes.
Because it hurts the ego.
Just on an individual level of, you know, working with lifters and when I was personal training, all the other stuff, no matter what I had on paper, always changed to some degree.
Always.
As soon as they walked in the gym.
Always.
So you really get to a point where you're like, why am I bothering writing this shit down? I know it needs to be. Now, it still has to have some type of plan, but that's where things get real weird. Like, okay, I'm going to have this online guy, and he's just going to say, well, who's making the adjustments? Because every coach I know that's worth a damn is making adjustments
Constantly.
immediately when they walk in. So that all that is a piece of paper. It's not coaching.
Yep.
You
Like
know,
Juliet said, we were talking, this was a while ago, but she said coaches almost have to have that type A personality and a type B. The type A, here's the plan, here's the progression, here's how we're going to get there. A leads to B, leads to C. Your organization and then, like you just said, in the moment, you've got to be able to go, oh, this plan doesn't work.
I mean, you can
How do
tell
I
just
make
when
the
they
change?
walk in. You know, if the shoulders are dropped, they're tired, they're fucked. Okay, we got to do something to get this.
So understanding that this is the path, but I'm going to come off the path a little bit. As long as I end up there, then that's the art of figuring out.
Yeah. And every set, every rep changes, you know, as things move up. Let's go one more.
Sure. Vincent, question for you. Has your macro breakdown changed?
Oh, God. All right, we'll do a question after this one. We're not going to end on something like this.
Macro.
I think it's the most brilliant question I've ever
Well,
been
it's just because it's to you.
yeah.
Oh, it's all to you.
I don't know if anybody's even logged in after your last story. I think Murph tapped out.
Macro.
I've found what works for me best is I'm very low fat. I love carbs. I train well off carbs. I sleep well if I eat carbs. So I get my minimum protein requirement. I have one high day. I have my training days, and then I have 3 low days for my carbs. And then my protein is based on body weight. So anywhere between I get at least 1 gram per pound, and I've kept it at that for as long as I've been doing this. and sometimes a little over, but usually around 200, between 200 and 250 at 200 pounds. I keep my fat somewhere between 40 and 50, and then everything else filled in with carbs. Because I feel better if I have carbs before I train. Jim, they were talking this morning, feels great when he does his workouts. It's mostly fats.
Well,
and
you have to probably put this in perspective. I'm not doing benching and squatting, so the shit that I do,
but your stuff isn't easy either.
What I'm saying is it's metabolically it's harder.
Okay.
Because dude, I can't tell you, and I guarantee Dave's been there, how many Whoppers I've eaten during speed day.
Right, but here's the
bench,
thing.
not squat.
But here's the thing, like there's a big difference between. So that's why
I understand what you're saying, but I'm just wanting to make people.
But I
understand.
run when I go run like 3-4 miles, I have a big carb meal.
Well, yeah. Well, how far away though?
How far away? Usually about an hour to a half hour before.
Okay. The point being is the one thing I think Stan Efferdine, besides the compliance is a science, he's had a thing that he's just like, listen, if it makes you feel like shit, don't fucking eat it.
Yeah.
And my wife and I were like we cut out most of our fiber. All I felt was bloated. Like, I don't want to feel it. Doesn't. And then it's like, well, what is this really doing for me?
Yes.
Like, so I feel like shit. Like, why would I want to feel like shit? And so we started eating meat more.
Yeah.
And
so I have no problem. Like someone look at my macros one day.
Especially
My fiber was like 70 grams one day because I eat like just this bread that's called 647 bread. It's loaded with fiber because it's lower calorie.
Is it 531 bread? No,
It's
647. I'm sorry.
They stole it from you.
That's
right.
Ezekiel bread, right?
No. It's like it tastes.
That's 31.4.
All right. It's
Jesus, Dave.
It's to wonder.
Fucking poser.
It's to Wonder Bread what
You
Fit
think
Crunch
you
bars
diet-
are.
It's Wonder Bread.
It's Wonder Bread to what Fit Crunch bars
here
are.
we go
It's
with the
my
Fit Crunch
10.
again.
It's my 10.
Okay.
But it's good low calorie white bread. But anyway, so yeah, I found for me, I function very well off of low carbs. My body composition is better. I train low fats. And I sleep better. On my low days where if I keep my carbs low, I sleep my sleep is terrible. I do not sleep well. So I have my carbs around my training. I don't eat carbs in the morning and in the afternoon until I'm about to train. I eat them at night and it works for me, but it is 1 gram of protein per pound minimum. Keep my fats low with around 15-20% and the rest carbs.
I think the thing is wherever you are, you keep your protein at X and then manipulate carbs or fat. So one of them's got to go this way. And I never forget one of the great things I learned.
My fats stay the same.
I know, but I'm saying if someone didn't feel good on carbs, they would have to raise the fats up.
100%. You nailed it. Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
And the other, I think it was, God, who was the bodybuilder? What's his name? He's on the site. Justin.
Oh.
He talked about, he's not the first one to say this, but talking about how carbs are protein sparing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you look at someone like Jay Cutler, not the football player, the bodybuilder, like his enormous amount of carbs, and he can get away with a little less protein because you're whatever. That's way off that's like us talking about Tom Brady.
But some people do care about that.
I know, but they're not at that point where they need to be eating, 800 grams of carbs.
That much.
Yeah. But I think that if at the very least you say, listen, he's talking about 1 gram a pound of protein per body weight. But let's say right now you're only getting like 70 and you need to get 200. Why don't you go up to 120?
Right.
Because that's the other thing. Because people get all weird when you're like, listen, most of when I was really dialed in, for me, I just got a 250 grams of protein with just meat and eggs. And like, how do you do that? I'm like, well, I didn't start.
Right. You didn't start right.
I started, and then it works itself up. And so I think the basic thing is proteins, the constant, and
manipulate your carbs and
the
fat.
The higher carbs, the lower the fat, and then you can kind of.
But you can't have high carbs, high fat.
Well, you can.
Low protein.
Yeah.
That's
you can,
what you
but
want to
you'd be
stay away from.
fat.
You're going to feel like shit.
Yeah, no,
you
you definitely explained that very well.
All right, give us a question that's not nutrition, and then we'll end this thing.
All right. There's an overwhelming support of a fat powerlifter story that you guys haven't shared before. Some bloated meathead story that you haven't shared.
I'll give a quick one. Anybody can throw one out there. I'm going to give my favorite one is when I was in a bathroom stall. And
Did you tap your foot underneath? Like
there was no one there. It would have made the story better though. So being as heavy as I was, I had a tremendous difficulty with flexibility. So wherever I was,
There was no ability.
no. So cleanup
Flex the
time.
nobility.
Cleanup time. I always had to stand up and twist my arm behind my back against whatever I could. And I'm leaning against the stall door on the side. And I'm trying as hard as I can, and the stall door collapsed and fell into the other stall. And I'm leaning on the door, you know, in the position that I was, no longer clad, and my hand wedged behind my back. And the story would have been so much better had someone been in the stall next. There was no one in the stall.
This is pretty good, just as
there was no one in the stall.
Can you imagine if you're sitting there taking a dump? Like, what would you think was happening? Because the last thing is, I think a guy's trying to wedge his hand up his ass. Yeah. Right? You'd think,
And then he fell on me.
yeah.
330 pounds of him, the door. Yep, just wheezing and sweating.
You give me a wipe, then give me a hand.
You know, and we all carried our wipes. Everybody had their bag of wipes. Now my wipes ended up on the ground. It was hilarious. It was very funny. So yeah, I wish someone was in the other stall that could have helped me up, but yeah, no one was around.
Sharing my humiliation.
Yes. Why were you gone for the last hour? Well, I got a story for you.
Don't worry about it.
Hey, we got to get going. I'll talk about it in the car.
All right, so Rhodes, you got one?
Yeah, there's a couple, as we all know, but there was one night I had just gotten my CPAP, and
We're so proud of you.
This is starting so good.
yeah, and I had eaten way too much, trying to gain weight.
Now I got a CPAP. I don't have to worry about my
Well,
apnea.
it's yeah.
Get healthy.
So I
Cured.
ate whatever I ate, and I came upstairs, and I was so full, I leaned over to brush my teeth,
Oh, boy.
and I threw up. So I got into bed, and I'm like, I heard Vincent's voice in my head, like, you coward, you puked up those cows. I went back downstairs, I ate, I just didn't brush my teeth this time. And I got in bed, right? So if that wasn't bad enough, I'm grabbing my mask, I put the mask on, and I couldn't reach the CPAP like this.
Yeah.
So I rolled over, and my whole arm went numb. I thought I was having a heart attack. And so I had hit the button. The air was smashing into my face. Remember it didn't have the regulation.
Yeah.
It was like 25, and I'm like starting to hyperventilate. I'm starting to get lightheaded. My arm's numb, and I'm like, I'm not calling 911. If this is a heart attack, this is how I'm going to go. Like, that's what went through my head.
Right.
I've already got oxygen. I'm fine.
And it kind of cleared up. What I did, I woke up in the morning. What I did is I had gotten stingers in college. When I rolled, I gave myself a stinger. I was so heavy
That you-
my arm went numb.
You
I
hit
didn't
yourself.
I
Stung
didn't
yourself.
realize it at the time, but the arm went numb just like I had gotten a stinger. And I'm like, I can't call 911.
The
Like,
coolest
this is
part-
how I'm going out?
Yeah, that's the coolest part. Is it was a stroke. You're like, all right, this is the
Yeah,
way it
this
is.
is the way it is, yeah. And
We've
so-
all had a lot of those moments.
So I had two of those nights. It was two. I puked all over my bathroom, didn't brush my teeth, ate again, and
Now,
then gave
you
myself a
seriously
fucking
could have
stinger.
had a stroke or a heart attack. It's just like, it's just,
you have to save.
just a stinger.
You have to save some questions if we ever do this again on what things have you ignored.
Oh my
Well, here's-
god!
I got a
God.
bunch of doctor stories, but I went to, I can't remember why. I was in Kentucky. I didn't have health insurance or anything, and so I can't remember what happened. But I had to go to the doctor, and I walked to, I don't know why I went to this one place. I went with some of my buddies to help me out, and or they just along for the ride, whatever. And the doctor was like, "Dude, you're gonna fucking die." And I'm like, "Yeah, I feel all right." He's like, "Dude, you don't understand. You are horrible right now." And I called Dave up. I'm like, "Dave, I actually had a cell phone, and I talked to him, and he's like, you're good, brother. Don't worry about it. You're solid. That's your normal. That's
It's your new normal,
yeah,
right?
you're fine, brother.
Yeah.
Come on. We were doing new normal long
Oh,
before.
yeah, way long
before
ago.
the
The line is-
Corona Bros.
The line is doctors don't like lifting.
That's right.
That's what
Yeah.
we
What do
all
they know?
Yeah.
My
They-
waist needs to be this big.
They hate lifters. They don't know what lifting is. Yep.
Oh,
All right, Dave.
All right, I
what
guess
have,
it's the
what have
one-
we ignored? Right?
Yeah, tons. I mean, that's a whole nother
That's
podcast.
that's for
That's
another.
a 3-hour
Oh,
podcast.
I used to, y'all, when you eat too much, you start to feel the heartbeat in your
yeah.
stomach, right?
Oh, yeah.
So the default
food baby
position,
growing.
yeah, the default position's a quadruped. So I'm on my bed, I'm on four. So you're just trying to let your stomach touch the bed. Just, oh my God, just get it to stop. And it was just boom, boom, boom. It wouldn't stop. So I had this brilliant idea that maybe if I get in the bathtub, like the water will like to help stop this.
Some buoyancy.
Right?
A natural birth.
Yeah, so I get in the bathtub. And then,
Fat ladies do this all the
and
time.
I have been in a bathtub for years. So I get in this thing. Then after a while,
never got out.
I couldn't get the fuck out. So I'm like, because it's now slippery and shit.
You need
right?
those grippy flowers that
Yeah,
the old women
I
have.
didn't have the grippy flowers, so I'm
Hospital
stuck.
triangle.
Yeah. So I had to drain the fucking water out of this thing, and
Let
then
it
that's
dry.
what I want. Just let it dry.
Yeah.
This was probably back an hour, and because I couldn't grab. I knew if I grabbed the towel to wipe up the water,
Done.
if I did it too soon, I wouldn't be able to get the leverage
Yes.
from the bathtub to be able to get out. So I had to wait until it evaporated enough to get the towel, to slip it underneath me so I could use the towel to be able to
grip.
To grip, to be able to get out. It was probably an hour and a half I'm stuck in this fucking bathtub. And my stomach, I mean, obviously it felt better because now 2 hours went by.
I shit everywhere, but whatever.
Yeah, that was kind of like normal.
Pure
Normal Sunday night.
Yeah, like the normal that we accepted.
Nobody out there even has a clue. Get this. That's the one thing like you don't see in the sport anymore. Those
One of the
guys
coolest things I had
really
a doctor do.
trying to get big.
I had a serious issue, and I went to the emergency room. The doctor like put me in, like, whatever, and gave me all the medicine I needed. And he's like, "Dude, let me ask you." First, he goes, "Where do you get your drugs?" I'm just curious. And I'm like, we got them from Mexico." He's like, "All right." He's like, "Do you have health insurance?" I'm like, "No." He's like, "Go now, just fucking go." And I didn't have to pay a fucking dime.
Really?
Yeah.
That's very cool.
But it was very funny. I'm like, "Do you really want to know?" He's like, "Yeah." I'm not like, I don't fucking care. That's why I'm curious. How do you guys get this shit? And then dude, he did me such a solid. I wish I would have remembered who he was, but what a good dude.
Testosterone.
Yeah. Oh, jeez, Ravel. Remember that shit?
We need another.
Nothing's worse than like, "Hey, I got some tests for you." It's like, it's fucking Ravel. Really?
We need to do another story one day on like stuff that our
Dude,
wives,
T-Tokyo. Woo.
our wives,
Good times, brother.
our
Remember that shit?
our wives or our girlfriends have had to ignore, or the embarrassing situations they've caught us in. Not-
a social liability.
Yeah. Those will be for like off the record, right?
Yeah.
That is the that's
What we can do is we can just have the camera, but we'll just mask our voice like they do
Yeah.
in the thing, but it'd still be us.
They'll put emojis.
Yeah. No, don't even do that.
Put emojis over
Yeah.
us
You can tell everyone. Keep our tattoos out.
and put that behind the paywall.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
But the porn logo, just change the name on it.
and they got to pay to stay on that one.
All right, guys, I want to thank you for coming out and
you,
thank
Dave.
everybody
Thanks,
for
Dave.
listening.
Thank you for everyone
and
watching and listening. Thank you.
appreciate it.
I think it's good just to kind of face back and treat yourself like close to a natural athlete so you can appreciate the diet and the training modalities and rhythm and volume and intensity again. Because when you're on, you kind of lose touch with that. Or at least a lot of athletes, unless they're under good guidance of a coach. And even then, they have the coach to guide them because themselves, it's very hard to do it yourself.